can hear the drums in the distance. I can feel the fear, the resistance. Everything can change
What up?
in an instant. You might stay alive if you listen. Your best friend is your instincts, don't think. Trust me, everything can change in a blink. Hearts racing, feel my heart pounding. Hold our heads up and miss the chant, we'll be shouting. This is war, you won't take me. This is war, you can't break me. It's just me, no saving. I'm the only one who could save me. So stand strong, stand tall, stay up, don't fall, give it everything.
Hey, Witchy.
No walls, just fight, no lies, push yourself to the limits, it's the fight for it all. I got this, if it's war, then I'm on top of it, I got fuel for days, it's a weapons that you can't stop, yeah, I won't think twice, into the enemy won't make it out alive. I got a full supply of energy and might, you pick the wrong side, Here I go, taking every single blow to the dome, never slow, pushing through it cause you know that I chose to be known, legendary, I'ma show everybody in this battle that comes close, stay exposed, yeah. This is war, you won't take me. This is war, you can't break me. It's just me, no saving.
You're welcome to join if you want, but I get it. Thank you. I appreciate it, Boko. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for stopping in, Bo. Oh, I gotta watch this in the background. Playlist is here.
Living life, every day, late at night, not okay, all I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Fuck me, I'm looking in the mirror, so foggy, but I've never seen clearer.
I don't know.
Honestly, I'm not really sure I want saving. I like to be my own worst enemy. There's no risk if you don't try at anything.
They're all sleeping on the bed with puppy.
I don't think that my head's go and get an x-ray.
They're all sleeping with the puppy.
Better change my mindset, meditate. It's pretty cool that I'm alive and have better days. I can walk, see, hear, I should celebrate. Think I could change, maybe elevate. Living life.
You're gonna like these guests, Santa.
Yo, check, check, check. Hey, everybody. We are live. I am here. It is check, check, check. 7 p.m. Let me pause that. Exactly. I'm here alone. I did hear from Michael Malice. He should be here soon. And Shkreli, I heard from yesterday, and he confirmed he was coming. I didn't hear from him today, but we'll just give them a minute to show up. I will say there's Malice. He's here. My internet is being a little bit weird. Let me bring Malice on. Oh, yeah, hold on.
You're muted.
I was muted in StreamYard. That's my bad.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So Shkreli, not here yet. We'll see what happens. I did hear, like I said yesterday, he told me he was coming. Yeah, and my internet is a little bit weird, and so just a heads up for the people on Odyssey, my Odyssey chat will not load. I keep refreshing to try to get it to load, but it won't load, so I don't know if you send any super chats on Odyssey tonight, I can't promise that I'm going to be able to see them, so consider yourselves warned about that. Well, hopefully Shkreli will show up. We do have one highly esteemed guest here already, a man who is usually doing real shows like Joe Rogan and Tim Pool and so forth, but he's here slumming it with us tonight, and we're grateful for that. How are you doing, sir?
I'm really excited to be in the same space with Martin Shkreli. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, hopefully he shows up. Let me check. There was a lot of excitement in the chat too for Shkreli, I saw.
Yeah, I can't compete with him.
Yeah, I don't know. All we can do is hope he shows up. He is I gotta say, I was a little bit concerned because he's kind of an enigma. Shkreli, he's kind of, you don't know how serious he is. Is he trolling you? He was sort of aloof in the DMs, but he said yes. He said he would come, so we'll see, I guess.
I don't know if I can hold my own in a conversation for over an hour.
Well, the good news is a lot of this show we just watch video clips together, so it goes by fairly quickly. Maybe we'll just, the good news is a lot of that. Okay, maybe we'll just get into it and hope he shows up, because I don't know how much waiting around here we want to do. So yeah, so this show, I do a show where I compile a bunch of video clips, and then in this show I kind of select a handful of them for us to watch together and comment on. So if you want to talk, just start talking. I can pause the video or wait for the clip to end.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. This is from Canada. This is the House of Parliament in Canada. And let's hear what they're up to.
In the wake of an Oscar win for The Whale, a horrifically discriminatory movie that uses fat suits, and don't be mistaken, a fat suit is just blackface in another context, and a storyline
oh God, okay.
to paint the protagonist as grotesque.
Stop right there. Blackface wasn't. This movie's not making fun of fat people. I haven't seen it, but isn't the whole point of this movie to present this character in a very sympathetic and positive light? Nor is it a caricature, right? It's not like he's making him look like Jabba. They're trying to make him look realistic, whereas blackface is a caricature.
Yes, I haven't seen the movie either, unfortunately, but I think what you're saying is probably correct.
And the other thing is, if I can put on my libtard hat, making fun of black people in 1900 when they're being marginalized is not at all equivalent to making fun of a fatty in 2023.
Well, his argument is that being fat is not a moral failing. How do you feel about that?
Well, even if it's not, it's not a fat person in 2020. If anyone had to ask, what would you rather be? Like in the South in 1890 and you're black, or you're fat in 2023. I mean, I don't think it's a very difficult question other than the health concerns. But even there, they're going to have a lower
Yeah,
lifespan.
I was gonna say I don't know. I don't know if I would rather be fat than black in the South. Yeah.
But they didn't have. I mean, think about all the technology we have now. They didn't have then. I mean, it's really kind of insane that everything. The thing is, what they do, and this is why it's so tiresome talking with conservatives. I'm not saying you are one. Is that they'll just use whatever reference people agree is objectionable, and then just equate everything with that. And it's completely disingenuous. It's completely stupid, and you can never. And frankly, I mean, my favorite politician of all time, or at least in the last century, is Rob Ford, and he's a fatty.
Wait, wasn't he like the guy who smoked crack?
Well, only during one of his drunken stupors. That was literally what he said. He goes, "Yes, he was mayor of Toronto. Yes, I smoked crack, but it was only during my drunken stupors."
Okay, just to update, I did just hear from Shkreli. I DM'd him and I said, we're live. And he said, cool. And then I said, are you coming? And he said, yes. And I said, nice. So I don't know if he's just trolling me or what.
I'm pretty sure, not no joke aside, that he is on the spectrum a little.
Yeah.
They said that in his court case. Wasn't that one of the defenses?
They also said he has an IQ of 150, apparently.
Oh, okay. I got 160.
Really?
But who
Wow.
knows what that crap means?
Oh, I'm the dummy in the room. I'm only like 125 or something like that.
Really? That's it?
I haven't done a real IQ test. I've only done like the online one. So I'm just kind of like,
Oh,
I adjust it down.
so you're 125 and also a Virgo.
Yeah, yeah.
And you'd be Chandler.
It is crazy because the fat phobia thing is such a like weird fringe thing. It's weird to seeing that in a like political, in the House of Parliament, you know what I mean?
It's not
pushed.
fat phobia if the guy is presented as a sympathetic character. It's not like, what's that movie with where she was hypnotized into being 300 pounds? You know, when Mike Myers was dating like a fat girl and he perceived her as skinny, and it was like Cameron Diaz or something. Do you know what I'm talking about? There was some movie where they're like, she's like in a fat suit.
That does sound vaguely familiar. Yeah, I do.
He's
kind
not
of vaguely.
Brendan Fraser is not getting an Oscar because he's dunking on fat people.
Well, okay, but what if he was like the kind of the point I'm making is that it's weird to talk about fat phobia like it's a civil, like take it like seriously as a civil rights issue.
Not a thing
in any context, even if you are making fun of fat people legitimately and cruelly.
And I can tell everyone listening to this, if you're bored some weekend or some late night, go to YouTube and watch fat people getting injured compilations. And I promise you, it'll make the time fly by, because watching them slip on ice is something to behold. Or the little kid in the roller coaster. It's really epic content.
No, definitely. I put clips like that into my show too. I don't have any like that here, but yeah, it's just
of course
pitiful. It's well beyond time we talk about fat phobia. We talk about racism, homophobia, transphobia, ableism,
shallow hell. Yeah, that's it.
Hold on.
Jack Black.
Hello, sir.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Yeah, no worries. I was sweating a little bit just because everybody is so excited for you, and they're thinking I'm trolling them and like I'm just catfishing them with this thumbnail. But here he is, everybody, the man himself, Pharma Bro. Perhaps our first convicted felon as a guest on the Progress Report. I'm not totally sure about that, but
hopefully not the last.
Yeah, hopefully not the last. Yeah, thanks for being here. How are you doing?
Great, thanks for having me. I just want to make sure my audio is okay.
Yeah, usually I mostly invite people who are known for sort of like political or cultural commentary, but I know you've done some live streaming. I've caught bits and pieces of your live streams here and there, and you seem like an interesting guy. So it'd be nice to hear a more normie perspective, if I can use that word. Maybe normie. That's not the right word.
Really, the normie?
No, you're as terminally like online as the rest of us.
He's just like you and me.
Nice. Anyway, I'll just finish playing this clip and
racism, but we don't address the systemic oppression that affects people who live in large bodies. Fat phobia is the implicit and explicit bias that is rooted in a sense of blame and presumed moral failing. Being fat is highly stigmatized in culture. Anti-fatness is intrinsically linked to anti-blackness, racism, classism, misogyny, and many other systems of
Oh
oppression.
my God.
Yeah, so
Oh
that was
my
that's
God.
the Canadian Parliament, Martin. And just so you have the full context there, that was the House of Parliament where they debate, social issues, laws, and so forth for the Canadian public. And I guess the question is fat phobia a legitimate civil rights issue that should be debated in those kinds of contexts?
I don't want to monopolize the conversation, but I'll definitely kick it off. I have a lot of opinions on this stuff. So like I go back and forth just in general about like, do I want to be politically active or just kind of keep my mouth closed and do my business stuff, which, the more I do one, the more it hurts the other. And
Right.
it's really difficult to kind of like, want to do both. But I mean, just having a background in like biology and medicine, I will say that there are people out there that can't help but be fat. But that's a limited number of people. And I feel for those people. There's a disease called Prader-Willi syndrome where you
That's
just
when they're retarded, though. It's not just being,
True. There are people that do have like other illnesses, and it gets a little less clear when you're just talking about people who are just very overweight. But I've met so many people that struggle with it. I feel for them. There is a new drug, as you guys know, that's just like I had dinner with these three beautiful skinny girls the other couple days ago, and they're all on Ozempic.
Humble brag.
They're all like they don't need it. They're all really skinny, but they're all on Ozempic anyway.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about.
The name of this stream is iHypocrite.
It's like there's just a pill you take and it makes you lose weight. Is it just like speed, or how does that work? Do you understand the science behind that?
It's awesome stuff.
it causes them to
science.
miscarry.
It's just that it's creating a two-tier system of people that can afford to be skinny and or have to do it the old-fashioned way and just work out. But
Or not eat. It's really easy for poor people to be thin historically. What are you talking?
No, I think that there's still people that have problems controlling their weight, obviously, and I don't necessarily think that there's like some civil right or like fat shaming is a thing, but I do understand that there are people that they have trouble.
Can't do the music with
it
it.
is. I think like the coddling of society is.
This is it's called iHypocrite. Is the name of the podcast. I just saw who was going to be speaking on it. I thought it might be interesting. I don't know, for some reason it popped up in one of my feeds, even though I'm not following this guy.
This is an example of kind of the bullshit coddling of like, let's all be really nice to these people because we should feel bad for them. I'm not saying that we should be mean to them, but I'm not saying that we also have to bend over backwards and coddle them either. And I think
by the way, the context too of that speech was about the movie The Whale, and he was saying because Brendan Fraser's in a fat suit, and he said that's like blackface, basically. You missed that part, but did you see that movie by any chance? Because me and Michael both missed it.
I didn't get to see it. I was probably in jail, but in jail for expressing my opinions about society. So maybe this will send me back. But no, I mean, it's crazy, right? Like ultimately, we've created a culture that, I think it's been beaten back by people like us, by people like Elon Musk, by people like business leaders who have had enough, and other people that, ultimately we're all crying bullshit about this kind of stuff. But again, I would just put like, I have a small little tiny heart somewhere in here that does feel a little bit for people that are 350 pounds. My friend Billy the Fridge is a comedian. He doesn't want to be 400 pounds. He's got an illness.
Listen, I dedicated my last book, The Anarchist Handbook, to my friend Eric, who died in his 40s because he had morbid obesity all his life. So I agree with what Martin's saying completely. And just something else to be a little empathetic. You don't have to make fat jokes because every fat person is painfully aware that they're fat. There's never a moment they don't know they're fat. So like, it's not the kind of thing where, they were walking around and they don't realize it. I tend to avoid making fat jokes because it's such low hanging fruit. It's such an easy punchline. One of my favorite episodes of my show is I had my friend Lisa who had she talked about her stomach band surgery, and the whole time as she's explaining this, I'm eating Twizzlers and bags of junk food and drinking soda, and I'm making sure to crinkle the bags by the mic to traumatize the people at home. But her point being is like, I'm still a person. You can make, she was in on it. People were like, oh my God, how are you eating these Twizzlers in front of her? She's like, I'm not an animal. Like if I see Twizzlers in front of me, I'm not gonna bite off your head and just start eating them by the handful. So he's right in the sense that there are people who I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about how to lose weight, and people get frustrated. They think you have to kind of have this willpower in perpetuity, and willpower is a finite resource. You're going to lose it eventually. But what ends up happening is all of this is just a mechanism for
Oh, I'm sure they were freaking out big time. Even his audience.
progs to further their power, and they're just looking for some whatever group they can find to leverage to be like, I'm your champion, vote for me, and give me more clout. So it's completely disingenuous. And I agree with him that this is something that people could sympathize with a little bit more, especially for women. They know, and it's not doesn't make them feel great.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I will make
but
the
can I
odd
just say one more
fat
thing?
joke. Okay,
Let me
sorry,
say
go ahead.
one more thing. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. But you know how like every TV show and movie right now, you would be of the belief that the most dangerous person is a 5'1", 120-pound female, because every show she
Right.
comes in, she like beats up all the whole gang of like these
Yes.
ninjas. We're
Yeah.
about like 18 months away from like a short fat girl being the most dangerous martial artist on earth in all these shows.
And don't forget the Victoria's Secret stuff. I mean, that's the stuff that bothers me a bit. Like, I don't think we should be out there. I don't think anybody should be out there being mean to anybody, unnecessarily. I mean, I'm one of the meanest fucking people there are, but I only do it when I'm provoked by like a Lauren Duca or Hillary Clinton or something like that.
Okay.
Right? She's been MIA. I'll give it back to you times 10. The problem is like, so I don't go out there and just making fun of fat people, but I'm not asking for a Victoria's Secret show of fat women either. And it's like, I think that's kind of the distinction of drawing between like practical, like, practical societal complaints of like, hey, I didn't ask for this inclusion. Like I want my Victoria's Secret show and my fashion show and let the covers of magazines not to be Lizzo.
Right.
And, that's the big difference between being practical and reasonable and then having the shit shoved down your throat, the wokeism stuff.
Yeah, it's one thing to say we're not going to like be cruel to you. It's another thing to say we're going to glorify this condition. We're going to pretend like there's nothing wrong with it, that it's healthy and fine and normal. That's actually a really dangerous message. But I don't want to spend the whole show talking about the fat thing. We actually got a whole bunch of clips here. So
Hold
let's
on.
just...
But what's the appeal of Victoria's Secret is diabetes?
What's that?
I said, what's the appeal of Victoria's Secret is that she has diabetes.
The appeal is that she has diabetes?
Yeah, if they're all 250.
That is the appeal, or are you saying what's the appeal?
Yeah, what's the appeal? Like if you have all these Victoria's Secret models and they're all 300 pounds and, have at least type 2, whichever the one you don't inherit, that's not, I mean, who are they selling to?
Yeah, very little. I think they've kind of dialed that back a little bit, but I'm not sure. Anyway, let's watch the next clip here. I don't even remember what this is.
I imagine her to have curly hair like me and a similar skin color.
I remember my grandmother saying to me, I don't care what they tell you in school, Cleopatra was black.
She has become an icon.
I'm a god, queen of kings.
Her story resonates with every woman.
Okay, so a little bit of added content. This is like a new Netflix docu-series. So it's like a dramatized documentary. And people in Egypt are very upset about this because the main thrust of the show, at least from some of the marketing, seems to be that Cleopatra was black. They talk about that in the trailer, like she's black. And they actually had like a change.org petition for Netflix to like cancel the show because general consensus is that Cleopatra was like a kind of Greek Mediterranean.
She was a Ptolemy. She wasn't even an Egyptian.
Right, exactly. And but the change petition, it had like hundreds of thousands, or it had like tens of thousands of signatures, and it got taken down for being like hate speech or something.
Actually, an
And
act of violence.
yeah, and then the last little added bit of context is that then in Egypt they started like review bombing Netflix. So if you look at Netflix in the app stores in Egypt now, it'll have like 1 star, because they just like, everybody just like gave it like a 1-star review. They take that stuff surprisingly seriously over there, which is funny because she wasn't even, because they're kind of like, you know, brown Arabic type people in Egypt now. They're not even the same as what Cleopatra was, but I can understand just like wanting people to respect your history, you know?
Yeah, and they had Abyssinians as slaves. We know they had colored paint. They left scrolls. We know exactly what color these people were. I think even worse example was that Anne Boleyn, where they just literally just had an
Yeah.
African American actress. I think
Yes.
she's literally African American, playing her.
I'm not sure that's worse though, because at least everybody understands that that's not supposed to be taken seriously. I think
don't
that's
think
the
that
one
everyone
difference.
understands anything.
Well, I shouldn't say everybody understands, but I think most people probably know that Anne Boleyn wasn't black, whereas a lot of people do think Cleopatra was black. And it's very funny because this was like a joke 10 years ago. There was this "We Was Kangs" meme of making fun of black people, talking about how they built the pyramids, and now it's like fast forward 10 years later and they're making Netflix docuseries about this.
Well, I think what happened is after the civil rights movement, which was the great big moral victory for the left, was all right. We need to have desegregation, and this been going on now for over 60 years or for whatever how many years, and it's like they're just running out of places to desegregate. So let's go back to history, and we need more African Americans in
Right,
history. I
more
think it's
diversity.
literally
Right.
what it is.
Right. Like, it's funny. Black culture is something that Black people have a lot to be proud of. Like, for example, there's this one chemist who really against all odds built a farm, it's my field, so I know a little bit about this, built a pharmaceutical company. And his name was Percy Julian. And this guy was like such a fucking great dude. Like, he invented new ways to make all kinds of great new medicines, made, I think, some of the first steroids in bulk. And he basically was like, had this all white, industry, had it like, had this huge position in it. And nobody ever says anything about this guy, right? It's like, there's no interest in actually promoting this dude. Or, for example, in modern times, the CEO of Merck, one of the most successful companies ever in America and in the world, is a Black dude named Ken Frazier. He just stepped down after a great run. And like, this interest in like promoting dudes like that is like, it's very weird. In media, there isn't a lot of interest in sort of pointing to the Black leaders that like one can really get behind. And instead you sort of have this like force fitting, like you said, of like putting like culture artificially in places where it doesn't need to be. There's plenty of Black stuff to be proud of, but it's really not like something that media companies like want to do. They want to make it so this sort of artificial shoving, square pegs in round holes.
Yeah, even that Woman King movie that came out, which was like about African history, but they kind of twisted the history around to make it more appealing to modern sensibilities, where it was like they were fighting the European slavers instead of the reality was they were slavers. But
it's like historical fiction.
Yeah.
A guy who had been one of the main, I guess he was one of the main people running memes against me in 2016. But he went from that to running a very deliberate effort to mislead people about.
This fucking boomer. I love running memes against me. How do you run a meme? The fuck you talking? You know how she was saying how Putin bought ads on the dark web? I think she literally thinks it's some kind of black market because of the name, where you could buy these
the darkweb.com
ads and then make everyone see them. Yeah, darkweb.com.
You didn't tell me there'd be Hillary here tonight. I'm really pissed off. I'm having like this PTSD flashback moment. Like I feel like I was in Nam. Like you just didn't tell me this was gonna happen.
What's the
Hey,
deal with you and
she
Hillary?
was the
Because
one-
you mentioned her earlier when you were bringing up like, oh, if I really hate someone like Hillary. What?
Well, I told this joke that she was a lizard person, and I found myself in jail the next day. It was really terrible. I had my bail revoked because I said, I'm sure you might remember this is like 7 years ago, but I said that Hillary was a lizard person, and that because I know how to do genetic analysis, if I just got a thread of her hair, I'd be able to prove she was a lizard. And then I said, if somebody can get me a thread, a lock of her hair, I'll pay $5,000 for it. And the judge said that I was threatening her life, and I was in bars the next day. It was terrible.
I actually didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. I call her America's mother-in-law.
So for me, like this woman means a lot to me because I literally got my freedom taken away because I made a joke about her. And the Secret Service called my judge and said, well, we had to double our security detail for Ms. Clinton.
Oh my God.
Laura Loomer ended up, like going to the book.
Come on, Siri, get your shit together.
She was doing a book signing, and Laura Loomer went there and harassed her. And, it was just like, it was this long, bad joke I wrote, and in essence, it got me sent to jail, which was really frustrating. And this like very nerdy, like freaking narc from the New York magazine or New Yorker, Yashar Ali. This guy is like, quite a dude. And he's the one who like was like, this looks like her life, doesn't it? I was like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you enjoy, doing this to people. And I don't know, man. Like, I feel like I'm like literally shaking right now. You need to give me a trigger warning for this.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't know, but that's a funny coincidence because she's talking about somebody else getting sent to jail for making jokes about her right now. That's literally what the clip is about. Seems like a recurring pattern.
Where and how to vote. Yeah. So it went from speech to action meant to subvert the election because thousands of people who they targeted through their algorithms. Oh, I can text my vote for Hillary Clinton. Yeah. Thousands texted their vote.
Yeah, so she's talking about Douglas Mackey or McKay or whatever, who the Ricky Vaughn guy on Twitter who made these memes, hey, text to votes, skip the lines, and they put him in jail. Or he's convicted. I'm not sure if he's actually in jail right now, but they convicted him.
They convicted him. He's 0 to 10. I have some personal experience here. I don't think he's going to get much time. So the media is going a little out of control with the whole, he's going to get 10 years. I bet you he'll get a slap on the wrist.
Martin, don't you think they're going out of control because they want to make an example out of him to get everyone? That's the megaphone, right?
Oh, forget it. I mean, I'm so outraged by this. Like, I saw he went to the same courthouse I did. It's like the most liberal courthouse in the country. And in Texas, they would just laugh at you and be like, "Are you kidding? Like, this ain't a fucking crime." And we have a state in the city here that's got a lot of fucking crime right now. New York's the most dangerous it's ever been. Of course, I love it, but the average person, has got problems navigating New York subways and the amount of drugs we have. We got people shooting up heroin right in the street. I mean, it's a terrible situation here. So what crime do you want to prosecute? The guy who's running memes? Is that the fucking crime of the century that we got to devote FBI resources to?
But crimes are only punished when those are a threat to those in power, as the riots demonstrated. I've been a New Yorker all my life. I'm only learning how to drive this week. So, I hear what you're talking about. And one of the reasons was I remembered what I went to high school, as Giuliani became mayor, and I vividly remembered what it was like before. And I saw it really creeping back. And it was really funny. I had a tweet where I pointed out that I saw now 2 people in 1 week smoking on the train. And I go, I know how this avalanche is a snowball effect. And everyone laughed at me like, oh, you anarchist, you're bothered by smoking on the train. I'm like, I know how it goes, though. It's not like, oh, there's 2 people smoking, there's 4 people smoking. It's that there's 2 people smoking and then there's going to be murders and rapes because they very much see that no one's doing anything about this very brazen but minor infraction. And that, of course, did end up happening. So I'm very glad that I could be here in Austin packing.
I came out of prison and didn't think I could be like more lowbrow. So I take the subway and I literally see this guy just get on the subway. It's like, about 6 people can fit in a car. You're a native New Yorker like I am. he gets on, like, muscles his way into like the one seat left and lies down, and everybody has to leave. And I'm like, and before before I went to prison, this wouldn't stand. Like, like, dude, you're not taking 6 seats because your homeless ass is tired, and these, like, old ladies have to get up because you stink. You can smell you through fucking 3 cars away.
And here's the other thing: you have to think about females, because we can kind of laugh it off, but then they have to worry about it. They're going to get assaulted, and it's not a ridiculous concern on their part.
Not at all. It should be safe. It's terrible that there's this, like, acceptability almost of, like, homelessness and stuff like that. It's like it's almost like an option now. And I don't know what the epidemic of homelessness is, why it's occurring, but one of the things about New York is at least it's better than San Fran.
Did you guys see that they're going after the people who burned the tiki torches in Charlottesville?
You're breaking up, buddy.
Oh, it's my internet issues. How about now? Can you hear me?
You shouldn't have made fun of Hillary, dude. This is what happens. You make fun of Hillary, it's a wrap. Listen to Libby Shkreli.
I was just saying they're going after the people who were burning tiki torches in Charlottesville. They're trying to charge them with, like, burning with intent to intimidate.
No.
And there's no statute of limitations on that. So, because this was 6 years ago, 2017. And they're saying, we're investigating this. We're going to find those people and we're going to, like, charge them with the crime of burning with the intent to intimidate.
Good Lord.
Yeah. That's what the AR, what is it called? AR-17. I can't remember. Was it AR-14?
One bullet.
That's what the machine gun does to the human body.
Slam cam replay, just lefts and rights all night here.
Chris is constantly moving onto Willie.
So this is Chris Raygun, a YouTuber, getting rocked at Creator Clash. I wanted to throw this in just because I put out a video predicting he was going to get absolutely destroyed. I don't know if you guys know the context around this or the drama, but so this is iDubbbz's boxing event for YouTubers. And Chris Raygun, the little white guy there, he was supposed to fight another little white guy named Froggy Fresh. But Froggy Fresh made a joke about the fact that iDubbbz's girlfriend has an OnlyFans. And so they kicked him out of the event and they replaced him last minute with a guy who is like 6 inches taller and 15 pounds heavier, who just kind of slapped Raygun around.
Why did Chris do it?
This is what I'm going to do to that bitch, Destiny. I don't know if you guys know him.
I know Destiny. Do you not like Destiny? Because I don't like him either.
Like
nice.
I'm gonna knock his head off if he ever wants to box.
Oh, Destiny. The gauntlet has been thrown down. How do you respond, Destiny? Yeah, celebrity boxing.
Wait, can I ask Martin a question? Martin, do you have
charity, Destiny?
I'm not trying to get too specific, but do you actually have, like, money to pay rent and all that? They didn't just clean you out?
Yeah, dude, come on.
I don't know. How, listen, if I went against the feds and I was on the face of every newspaper and magazine and they want to make an example out of me, I can see them very easily being really.
It's interesting. They only got me for $8 million, which is relatively small. The issue is I'm now facing this Federal Trade Commission, which is run by a young woman named Lena Khan, who believes any American success should be basically stopped in its tracks and broken up. She wants to break up every single company in America, basically. And it's really disgusting. And I'm in some litigation with them. That's kind of my bigger issue right now. The feds were it was definitely for a crime that really didn't happen. It's pretty severe punishment. So it's kind of relative basis. Like, it could have been worse. But the Federal Trade Commission is the kind of current enemy. And I'm relying kind of on the appeals court and Supreme Court, quite frankly, to fix that. But that's a whole other story. But yeah, Destiny can get it. He'd be the first bisexual boxer, I think. So we'll see if I don't know. I think his wife would probably stand a better chance. So we'll see.
Oh, Destiny, you're just gonna take that? Oh dear.
Right hand. And then the referee takes one at the end.
Oh yeah, and they punched the ref. Okay, this one is really funny. Check this out.
You know what happened here.
I know. I just watched the video. I asked to open a conversation, and he's still blocking me out, and you guys are protecting me.
Ma'am, you chased the one employee all the way to the front, okay? You made contact with her body by pushing your body into hers. I just watched it clear as day on the video.
Okay.
He then came out and you followed him all the way back here,
Okay.
making him fear for his safety. You backed him into an office and you got hit in the face, unfortunately.
When people are backed into a corner, they can choose, they can choose to do the right thing, or they can choose to lash out.
Okay, you were in the wrong here, just so we're
I
clear.
held the line.
You didn't hold the line.
I moved my line continuously. I asked, and when they did not respect, they were gatekeeping me. Like the whole world has kept people.
Yeah, you were free to leave at any time.
Absolutely.
But you didn't.
Absolutely.
So
because it wasn't
you
right.
amplified the situation.
No,
you wanted something
when the
for
law.
I just want to give a little bit of context here. This is at
Perfect
Target,
pause.
and she had like a grocery cart with like $1,000 worth of groceries, and she didn't have the money, but she went up to like the cashier and said, "You need to give this to me as for reparations." And she kept demanding her reparations from Target till the cashier got the security guard, and then she like backed the security guard into his office, and then he punched her in the face. That part's all coming, but I just wanted to add that so people know what they're saying.
I'm on her side. I don't give a fuck.
Are not right.
You wanted something.
You make a stand so they can change.
Okay, now I know we said we weren't going to make fat jokes, so I'm not going to comment
On the bingo wings?
what's happening in the
tricep.
arm flap area there. I'm just.
I also want to point out that my buddy Hotep Jesus, he went viral for the first time because he went to Starbucks and demanded reparations for the white girl, and she's like, "Okay, sure," and he got his free Starbucks. So shout out to him.
Classic.
If the laws are meant to hold people down, you will fight for me, my community.
Let's go outside.
You will come for me.
Okay. Let's go outside.
How are these guys not cracking
right
up?
now, just like before. You're elevating the situation when it doesn't need to be. It's already done.
It's not done.
It's done.
Absolutely
Tonight
not.
it's done.
No, it's not. You're people that look like you are done trying to gatekeep people that look like you.
What does gatekeep mean for her? Here's the thing: there's no one as anti-cop as me, but my heart really goes out to them when this is their job. You know what I mean? Like you have to sit there and listen to this idiot. Just
Actually, a remarkable amount of patience. I just feel
Yes.
like, listen, lady, you want to go
Enormous.
downtown or not? That's your choice. So I'm not listening to this bullshit. You know.
But she's not even making any. Like, what is she even trying to say? What is you're not gatekeeping me? Like, what gate? What are you talking about?
There's one thing I'll say that I respect is that when you're in trouble, you have to kind of freestyle your way out of it.
That's fair. She's not an improv.
Like I gotta give her an A for that.
I mean,
Let's
this
be. It's an
woman
F.
has
She
just
can
been,
pass.
she's been bombarded with this propaganda, that you're oppressed and you're held down and the world owes you. And she has those buzzwords like gatekeeping.
I don't think she believes any of that. I think she's actually just trying to fucking get out of this thing through some kind of like chicanery. But who
I
knows?
agree with Martin.
Well, I don't know if it's about like sincerely believing it, but I mean, she wasn't just trying to use it to get out of there. She was trying to use it to get her $1,000 of reparations from Target too. You know what I mean? Like she's trying to use this probably multiple times through the day, every day of the week, I would guess.
I think I'm looking forward to like the state of Cal. Oh wow.
Oh.
State of,
Yeah, so that's what that's the security guard cold clocking her there. Yeah.
Look at her.
the state of California will go bankrupt giving reparation money out. I'm sure you guys have seen some of those plans. So
Yeah, do you think that's going to happen?
I'm in favor of
I
it.
hope so.
Yeah, I really want to go through. Oh wow, and her. Oh my God.
She said, "I'm not going to have enough money to pay for this. I need to talk to the manager." She happened to be walking by.
Okay, so I came around and I was like, "Hey, what can I do for you?" She starts going on this spiel about like, I've had a privileged life and she's been disadvantaged, and then said that she was asking Target to make reparations for her. Basically, just kept saying that, and then she got really close to me. So I put my hands up and backed up, and she like followed me. She called our security person, and he came over and like intervened.
How can I help you? Like, what do we need to do here? And she's like, I just don't have the money, and I need you guys to take care of me. And then she started like getting in my face, and I was like, ma'am, like, I need you I need you to leave. Like, you need to leave, or I'm gonna call the cops. And she's like, we'll call the cops. And so she sort of like she kept on coming at me, and I backed up all the way up into my office. And I tried to close the door, and she's like, "Oh, you're not gonna leave." And then I tried to close it, but she like powered her way through, came into my office, and then like I tried to back up a little bit more, but I was already in an enclosed space, so I just hit her.
Good.
I think that like the problem.
A security camera captures the.
I don't think the problem is this one idiot. The problem is when you have people in Congress that do the exact same thing metaphorically, right? So like I'm sitting here thinking like, well, what if someone did that to pharmaceutical prices or did that to technology or something like that? And I realized, oh wait, that is exactly what entitlement is. It's basically this, you know, instead of it being this fat woman, it's congressional sort of staffers and Congress people saying, well, we should have, you know, all the resources of Target for ourselves and give them out. And, you know, who cares about Target? You know, it's irrelevant.
Martin just proved that Canadian politician right. He compared fat phobia with racism, just right there, with that lady. That's the validation. We've seen it all for ourselves.
Just the
She's
massive
probably
equivalent of entitlement.
Yeah.
Thieves early last Monday stole that camera, along with tools from a home being rehabbed. The real estate broker saw the whole thing.
Somebody picked up the camera and was like, "What is this?" And then they bagged it.
Because the house was vacant after the burglars kicked the front door open here, they spent some time inside, but it's what happened later that could ultimately lead to their arrest.
I love how these little towns, this is literally being labeled as a big story. Someone steals the camera from a house that's not even in use. Big story. $200 stolen from an abandoned house.
Well, it is kind of funny because the camera was still
Welcome
transmitting.
Midwest.
Right?
Hey,
Oh no, I know,
sorry
but
guys.
the fact that it's their big story.
Yeah.
Around $8,000 in tools.
Oh.
They also took a camera which was hidden, which they did not know that would operate pretty much anywhere. So it's operating on their dining table right now. We can see everything.
That's right. This video was recorded today, a week later, still in the home of the burglar.
We're seeing people doing drugs. We're seeing people talk about how they sold the stuff, where the money went.
So you don't think they realize it's still transmitting?
They may or may not, but I don't think they really care.
We're blurring the faces because no one's been criminally charged, but Milwaukee police have this video too.
What they should do is just charge people to tune into the live feed.
Yeah, with the super chat for that one.
$8,000 back that way. Turn it into a reality show.
Wow.
It's really disheartening. I think that when someone works hard to rev up a house to make sure it's occupiable and lovely for someone to live, and someone just comes through and destroys that.
The battery-operated camera uses the cellular network and is still seemingly calling out for an arrest. In Milwaukee, Nick Bohr, WISN 12
What
News.
kind of battery life does this thing have? Good Lord.
Yeah, it's going for like a week straight. There's a
Yeah.
mic in there too. So that's just funny. I don't know if you guys have anything to say about that. It's just kind of a funny video.
I think it happens all the time, actually. My friend got robbed for his phone, and the thieves actually took photos of themselves using the phone and then posted them online. It was like really surreal. Like, I think there's this like.
How'd they figure out who it was?
I don't know exactly what my friend did, but I think, you know, the point I guess I'm making is that, and having been in prison for 5 years, like, you eventually see people just give up on life. Like they don't give a fuck. Like and you could see there like that these people are getting high. Like they figure they're going to, you know, probably prison at some point, or they'll be dead at some point. It's just, how do I get through the next 72 hours?
Yeah, they don't think long term. It's just living in the moment in a quite literal way.
And
Nobody's blocking choppers.
There's seemingly
I've
more
seen
and more
you.
people like that, and I don't know what the answer is or what.
I'm just
Like,
baked.
yeah, I mean it's.
I don't know
sad.
that there's more and more people so much as there's more and more cameras, so we can see them all. Back in the day, you're not going to see them on a sitcom or on the news. The corporate press will pretend they don't exist, and now you're like, wait a minute, there's a lot of them.
Good to see you too,
Yeah,
Midwest.
it's one of the big problems with democracy.
It's both a little bit. There's just objectively more people too, right? So there's going to be more of that.
Did I get into Harvard?
Oh, this
No! Come on, just give me something, guys. No. Did I get in Columbia? Dude, I must have done something seriously wrong.
Is a 5.9
Did I
GPA
get into
good?
Stanford University? You guys think I got into MIT?
I think we got it.
I did get rejected from MIT. Did I get into Duke University? No. I gotta get into one of these, dude. Did I get in to Rice University?
Wow, guys.
This tab is leaking my address. Oh, crap. Oh shit.
I was shaking. I was like, oh my gosh, like this. And I was like, this might be 8 out of 8. And I clicked it and it said, congratulations. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then I was like, what did I say?
Getting into even one of the nation's selective Ivy League colleges is a dream. But 17-year-old Quasi Enan got into all 8 of them.
I was like, there's no way. Someone has to say no, because that just doesn't happen. And then, Harvard came in, was the last one. And I was like, well, I guess it happened.
Great story for you. You're about to meet a New York whiz kid who has been accepted to every college he applied to, including all 8 Ivy League schools. And now all he has to do is choose. Harold Eke is a senior at Elmont Memorial High School. He joins us live now.
This is Michael Malice. This is Martin Shkreli, and I'm not sure who the host is. It's a iHypocrite.
Congratulations.
We're just behind it. It was live.
5.09 GPA is pretty good, right? You guys
Out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I'm categorizing this as a psyop. Like, at the end of the day, I do know that this kind of stuff happens, but we don't know anything about that kid. We don't know if he actually had a 5.09. I don't even know what a 5.09 is. I thought GPAs went up to 4. I know you can get extra, but ACT, where's the SAT? There's a lot of questions here. Like, we don't have a side-by-side scientific answer here. So sorry. This just looks like, this is how you get like tricked, in my opinion. That you could easily reverse this. And
that's a good point. It's supposed to cap at 4.
And he could have blown every single interview. That's the other thing. That interview is not nothing. It's not college here. Look, we all know that there's different standards for different demographics to get into schools, including income and things like if your parents went to college, so on and so forth. Point being, it's not just based on your academics. They're trying to basically cast, like in a TV show, what they want their freshman class to look like. And if this guy comes in and blows every interview, I mean, that's certainly a real possibility. It's not the norm that you're going to have this flawless record and none of the 8, including the second tier, are going to let you in.
I did an Ivy League speaking tour. Trust me, there's still plenty of white people at Harvard and Yale.
That's funny, Chopper.
They're not going away
That is funny, Chopper.
anytime soon. I do think that there's some definite interest in diversifying the student community. I went to his high school in New York called Hunter College High School.
You didn't get this time?
I got into the better school. So I gave the largest donation in the school's history. Anyway, the school is a merit test-based system only. The only thing that matters is one score on one test, take it or leave it. The school's racial proportions are what you would imagine, unfortunately. They're 1% Black, 1% Hispanic, 50% white, 50% Asian.
Same as Stuyvesant.
Roughly speaking, and Stuyvesant's the same, right? And I think that, there's this interest in changing that and taking it from a meritocratic system to sort of an adjusted system that reflects all kinds of other things like the upbringing of somebody and so forth. And, obviously there's kind of like this simple question you can ask, which is like, let's say you're being rushed into a heart surgery. Do you want the person with a high score on the test, or do you want the most, sort of...
I'm an immigrant. A lot of these kids who are white are not these bougie, waspy kids. They're coming from Eastern Europe. They're Italian, Irish, whatever. They're not coming from largesse or money at all. And it's really kind of vile to make it out that all these kids who busted their ass to do well on this test and who are coming from families where their cultures are like based on academic achievement as a mechanism to further yourself and your family are being kind of dismissed as, well, you just got lucky, or you had extra help. It's a complete lie, and it's really vile especially if you're going to talk about people who are interested in diversity. I think there were like 100 languages spoken at Stuyvesant. It was something crazy. I mean, and they're trying to make it out to be, kind of like Vermont. It was the UN.
Yeah, and you see it in UCLA and other schools where Asians are now being discriminated against, which is funny because I always thought they were a minority. And it's really a tricky place to be for affirmative action because you have the wealthiest race or the highest earning race in America are Asians. Whites are no longer number one. They're no longer number two. Depending on how you define Asian, and it sort of becomes this question of like, okay, well, if one minority is doing really well and one minority is not doing so well, and then you have majorities that are kind of in the middle, what does that mean? Does that mean we need affirmative action only for minorities that are doing poorly? It kind of makes you like wonder about, well, maybe there's other factors at play and that we shouldn't necessarily be pressing our thumbs on the scale one way or the other.
And there's a lawsuit or two, I think they're combining them, from the Supreme Court right now by Asian students who are feeling discriminated against at the Ivy Leagues. And if there's one thing Clarence Thomas wants, like this has been his life's goal, is to eliminate racial set-asides and racial preferences in situations like this. He's been champing at the bit for literally decades. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out.
If there's one thing the left wants, it's to get rid of Clarence Thomas.
What's going on with this rain? This is not conducive for a pride party.
Bitch, we got up in the morning and it was just pouring.
You can't rain on a
can we pause
parade?
this? I got
I'm so
into
glad we're not.
this one right here on Twitter, the one by talking, Trinity the Tuck. She spoiled the season. I called her out on it and she flipped her shit. It was really funny.
Wait, say again. You know this person?
No, on Twitter, I went after this one right here in the middle with the Jack Daniels t-shirt.
Okay.
And she tried to clap back, but it was very, very funny.
Is it you're saying she? Is that even?
These are drag queens. These are all drag queens.
But so they use those?
They use she. It's when they're in character. You know what I mean? Like it's
right.
Yeah,
I'm like legitimately asking. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. And drag and heels and wigs right now.
Can you imagine in like the weather being so bad and just makeup and hair? Oh, that would be. That's
what is it?
So what did you say?
Because she said, "Oh, who's doing well this season? I think it's going to be these two in the finals." And I said, "You're spoiling this season more because the season's already been filmed, and you knew who the finalists were if you looked online.
Right.
You're spoiling the season more than Pandora Box spoils every episode she's in. That's another queen who's just absolutely talentless and terrible." And like, I'm not spoiling it. Blah blah blah. And like just this whole big clapback, but it was really kind of funny because they can get a lot of trouble for spoiling shit.
You're talking about RuPaul's Drag Race, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But listen, people, we have a party to plan, and we need to go get some decorations. We need to get this going, honey. We're expecting people.
Let's go to the town square and get some party supplies. I'm ready.
Oh my gosh, she looks so stunning in every single one of my dresses.
This is going to be the fiercest party Lynchburg has ever seen. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride, sisters. Let's do a cocktail.
Let's do a cocktail. We should make a Jack 5 cranberry. Yes, we should.
Come on, I gotta help.
Some people in the chat are saying that you seem to know a suspiciously lot about the drag show culture.
Yeah. It's a great way to figure out what people are going to be saying in 5 years in mainstream culture. That's where culture permeates from. It goes from the margins to the mainstream. By the way, there was a little subtle reference in there that no one picked up, but the people watching it would, because a lot of what they do is works on code switching, right? So they'll send little cues that some people in know will pick up. There's something called handkerchief code, where you wear a handkerchief to say what you're into. And that one had a red handkerchief, which means fisting. So they're like trying to be subversive with Jack Daniels, and no one would pick up on it unless you know what to look for.
My question is who watches this stuff? How could you fund a show like this knowing that most people would not want to watch this? I'm just curious, like who makes up the viewership?
Huge. The show's absolutely huge.
And do you know if the ratings are huge?
Yeah, it's like millions.
I think RuPaul's Drag Race is a very popular show.
It's on MTV now.
Yeah. Yeah, drag culture is really popular, strangely enough. But the Bud Light thing just happened, which is why this is so kind of relevant and topical. There's a big backlash against Bud Light for having a trans spokesperson. You got Jack Daniels having drag queen spokespeople. I saw something, I can't remember exactly what it's called. I should have looked it up, but somebody was saying that there's a thing that is kind of like ESG, but more for like social issues. So where ESG is like if your company has like a green rating, from my understanding, this thing, there's like another thing that's like, is your company progressive essentially? And we know that like there's like firms that will invest based on those criteria, right?
But it's also awful. Affluent white female liberals drive so much of culture, and they not only do they run many.
Buying Jack Daniels and Bud
No, hold on,
Light.
but listen, not only, but they're running the Bud Light specifically was some white chick who just got hired not that long ago, who's in her like early 30s, I believe. I actually went to college with the CEO of Anheuser-Busch, and he was a total he could perfectly play every date rapist in every 80s movie, just total like waspy douche horrible person. So it's always funny to me how historically people like that were regarded as conservative, whereas they're really like corporate America at its absolute most soulless, and they'll be happy to leverage whatever cultural trend is appealing at the moment in order to just get cred with their wives and at the country club.
I'm happy that my friend, plug him real quick, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Oh, he's on my show tomorrow.
He was my biggest investor. He is, got Strive and, is one anti-ESG guy. And I think, I listen, if people like the show, people like the show, it is what it is, it's not my cup of tea, but I think on the ESG stuff, yeah, I mean, it's totally absurd that the companies that have the most to sort of hide do the most ESG and say the most stuff. Like this company, United Healthcare, it's the biggest health insurer in the world, and their profits have just gone up like 20x in the last 10 years. And, all they do is donate to BLM, ESG stuff. And I'm just sitting there saying like, well, is this because like you guys make so much money, in health insurance that, you kind of don't want people to focus on that, and want to focus on, let's distract everybody with this stuff. And I think like it's like the lady doth protest too much. It's just one of these things where people just kind of try to, hide the ball.
But it's also like a very easy form of lobbying, right? Like if I am knee deep in ESG, it's going to be very hard for that Democratic congressman or president, whoever, to come after me because I am donating money to all these people who have your phone number. And it's just like basically Tammany Hall back in the day. If you're paying the piper, it's almost like a tax or just a low-key secondary form of lobbying.
I wonder if it's even table stakes. Like if you're not doing this shit, forget it, you're fried. But it doesn't necessarily protect you either. Just because you're doing some of these donations, I think you can still get on the shit list.
There was some bill or an executive order that was drafted for Trump that said, and you could do this as president, if your company follows ESG, the federal government won't work with you. And please look me up, double check this, something to that effect. And he refused to do it, but apparently DeSantis has something like that on his desk right now.
It's all bullshit though. If you go to Apple or you go to Microsoft or you go to Google or any of these companies, you're going to have a very hard time finding minority engineers. And ultimately, these are the companies again that will be the loudest about making sure that they fake it or things like that. And people like say, one of my friends is a top brass at JP Morgan, like. They say we're all ESG'd out, but we just laugh at it. Like, it's internally, when we actually have meetings and talk about it, it's all like, yeah, whatever. We're doing this for show. And it's nothing to do with reality. It's all
Martin, it was like think about the BLM riots when the CrossFit guy was like, we're not talking about BLM, we're like a fitness organization. He got fired, right? So at a certain point, if something is what corporate America is deciding is the trend of the moment, and you're the outlier, corporations, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this if I'm incorrect, it's very dangerous for that one corporation to be the outlier when it comes to issues like this, because right away, that's how it's like an infection. Now you know which cell is a rogue cell and who to swarm. Is that not been your experience?
Of course, no, that's exactly right. I mean, I stood up for the right for a company to price its product how it sees fit. it's maybe not a God-given right, but it's an American right that if you want to price your product really high or really low to price its product how it sees fit, it's your choice. It's your company. Who's maybe able to tell you if you wanted to slap $1,000 price on this live stream? I'm not sure you'd have many viewers, but it's your choice. Nobody can say no.
And that's also a big signal now for investors to fund your competitors, because like, wait a minute, if they're getting $1,000 a pill, why are we investing in real estate or Jack Daniels? This is where the highest ROI is going to be. So the market adjusts itself for that very, very quickly, and that's a huge signal to investors. Like, holy crap, this is money on the table for us.
I did want to comment on what you said about the donations, because it came out too that Bud Light is a very large donator to the GOP.
Yeah,
and
Trump Jr. came out
and
again.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Don Jr. came out and said, "Hey, end the boycott," which he got a lot of backlash. So there's a lot of kind of like ins and outs of the way these mechanics work, right? That's more than just meets the eye, but a lot of people upset with Don Jr. over that.
Stanford is like this liberal bastion, right? And Stanford just elected as student body government this like bring back the jocks and like frats party, basically, that like swept all of the like woke kind of progressive, like this is just a student election. But I think in Stanford, which is like super woke, super liberal, like I think it's a really good sign. Like I think all the stuff we're talking about, it's sinking in. Like we're starting to win this war against wokeism, against ESG, against over PC-ness. I think I'm getting happy. Like I was really upset about it 5 years ago, but now I'm just sort of shrugging my shoulders and laughing and watching again some of the stuff going on Twitter. Some of the stuff, some of this evidence is showing up that we are winning this.
It's hard to tell an entire generation to always be earnest and miserable. That literally was what it comes down to. A lot of people don't have intelligence or care about politics one way or another. But if this party, you're sitting around discussing white fragility, and in this party, everyone's getting drunk and laid, it's a lot of people are like, I'm going to go get drunk and laid. That's really what it comes down to. And for a long time, the right, social conservatives especially, were these kids with buttoned up shirts, miserable, like, don't listen to music, don't do drugs, don't do anything. And like a lot of people were alienated from that. And now it's like, okay, we can meme Hillary Clinton. We can meme, make fun of this. I want to make fun of things. I want to have fun. And I could do it on my ass on my computer. That has a lot of appeal to a lot of, because when you're young, you're powerless. And this is a chance for you to kind of punch above your weight on social media and have fun at the expense of just really awful people who are telling you to be miserable and hate yourself. And a lot of people are like, but I don't want to hate myself. I like myself.
Yeah, and there's this gender role thing where it's like, women more and more, especially the last like 5 to 7 years, what I've noticed is they're like taking a stand. They're like, no, I want a manly man. I want a man that drinks Bud Light that doesn't have, that on the cover of it. Like I want a guy that's like a guy, and that comes with some, toxic masculinity or something like that. And so be it. I kind of like that.
I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts. I don't know if you saw this. The Budweiser people put out Anheuser-Busch people, I guess, put out like an apology, air quotes, on Friday, where there was basically like, well, we're a company that has a lot of constituents and we love America. And it was just complete corporate double talk because on the one hand, if they rolled some really big dice. And it reminds me of when Homer Simpson was given the chance to design the car for his brother, Danny DeVito. And it comes out like, oh. And like, in all fairness, if you're letting Homer design your car, you're not even going to look at it before it's announced to the press. You deserve your company to be destroyed. But point being, if they fired that girl who hired Dylan Mulvaney, they're going to have a huge blowback. But if they sit in their hands, they're going to have a huge blowback. I mean, they painted themselves into this corner.
I actually give the CEO a pass on this one because
let's hear it.
They were doing everything that everyone else was doing.
Okay.
So like ultimately, like he's like, oh yeah, the CSG is a big deal. Yeah, go for it. And then it's like what they didn't pick up on, and this is probably the marketing person's fault, but also maybe the CEO's fault, is people are sick of this shit. They don't want this stuff anymore. And they got caught the same way I was like too early to being anti-woke. They're sort of too late to being woke. And it's all boomerang back now, where it's like, no, you actually are seeing companies like losing identity points and their brand of like, imagine the Marlboro, how do you brand that, in an LGBTQIA plus friendly light, it's pretty difficult. That's kind of like a manly cigarette. That's pretty hard to.
No, I think here's the big difference, though. It's one thing if you're like, I'm for fighting the climate change and we're, environmentally responsible, and then you put Greta Thunberg on your can. Those are different things. So if they had like a Bud Light can with a pride flag, no one would care because everyone else is doing a pride flag. You wouldn't notice it. But the fact that you have this specific person who's being appointed and is just complete fraud and awful person on the can, that I think is a very big difference than just lip service to like Pride Month. And they should have known, if you're going to put someone in your can, like you got to look up, okay, what is this person's brand? Is this someone who is radioactive or toxic? And this is very much a very radioactive, and it's not like they put Laverne Cox even, or someone like that, like an actress. Like this is someone who the internet despises, and with good reason.
Yeah. I'm just going to play the next clip because we got it. I don't know if we're going to make it through all of them, but I want to try to make it through some more before you guys have to go. Oh yeah, Shkreli, you're a hip hop fan. You famously commissioned a Wu-Tang album. So I want to hear your thoughts on this here.
Wait, did you commission it or you bought it after it was made?
The latter, but this video looks great. I love this.
Okay.
You know this one?
But I'm loving it.
Mind calling Ukraine defending the block. My grandpa defending village with a Glock. Oh my God, who is stressed? What the fuck? We are waiting, we are strapped. Ukraine is hot. Russian soldiers waiting on a border put. We defending with machetes and the rock. Send them to the Satan dying in the rut. We stand for freedom, this should not apply.
You know how during times of war, leaking classified documents could be considered like an act of treason? I was wondering if maybe posting cringe should be considered treason during war times, only during war times, because it's kind of demoralizing, isn't it?
They don't really know how to make rap music in any part of the world other than basically New York City. So it's just I forgive that. It's an attempt to do it right. But
okay, here's the thing. I was born in Ukraine. I think it's very interesting that he was singing in English and not Ukrainian.
Mm-hmm.
So this is clearly not intended for a domestic audience. This is clearly them trying to leverage American people to further their support and be like, hey, we're trying our best, but blah blah, Putin's bad. They're not singing Ukrainian. There's a reason for that.
It's just such a strange psyop because it's like, think about all the wars in history. Did people stop to make propaganda music videos like that? It's just such a
well, kind of Triumph of the Will.
What is that?
You're in the middle of a war.
Leni Riefenstahl in Hitler.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not literally a music video, but it's kind of this big propaganda piece.
It's kind of a head scratcher. I don't know how far that would go. Anyway.
What is this that I came home to? Freaking the whole floor was gone. Are you serious? That was so freaking childish of you. So petty. What's the reason for that? Is that all you can say is, Huh? Is that it? You're so freaking childish. No wonder I cheated on you. I needed a man. Maybe you didn't turn into a man because your dad wasn't even in your life because he didn't even want you. You piss me off so much. This is why you don't amount to anything because you're so fucking childish.
Yo.
So he paid for her floor. She cheated on him, and so he tore up her floor. And then
it's one thing children love to do. It's to take back the floors they've given their girlfriends.
So true.
This is the Destiny playbook. You just let whoever fuck your wife. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Wait, have you and him ever interacted?
Yeah, what's the deal with you and Destiny? Why do you hate him so much?
I'll leave it. It's for another day. But I think I don't know, man. That was I do think obviously this woman's that didn't seem like a great chick to be with regardless. But
yes,
digging up the floors. I don't know. I wouldn't have that reaction.
Here's the other thing. I just registered something. She said to him, "This is why I cheated." Blah blah. She didn't say, "By the way, I cheated." So she had previously told him this.
Well, no, he knew. That's why he tore up the floor.
No, but she knew he knew. Is my point. It wasn't like she's saying, "Oh, like he had found out and she outed herself." And he's like, "Yeah, I knew already." She's like, "This is why I cheated." So they had discussed it already. So you would think, if you found out and you're genuinely remorseful, which we've all made mistakes in relationships, you're going to be like, you know what? I fucked up. I fucked up bad. I know for you to stay with me, you're taking a big risk because once a cheater, always a cheater is often the case. How do I make this right? How can I make you trust me again? But there's none of that. She had no remorse. She fucking thought she got away with it.
Yeah. Well, destroying your ex's properties, we don't advise it. We don't recommend that course of action. There could be legal repercussions. But having said that, that was a very funny video. The way he's just going, it really warmed my heart watching.
You know what else is funny? Like in her head. Oh no.
Has science gone too far? Martin Shkreli, as a biologist, is this something that you could analyze for us?
What gender is this?
I'm pretty sure that's a biological male. I think the face is kind of
no. But if you run enough of those of tests and everything, masculinization of the features.
Oh yeah.
We move on. Thank you.
Sure.
We're really about to show y'all why we need to move out of America. Look at this. They're selling lion chops. They're taking exotic animals and cutting them up and putting them in our local grocery stores. Look, I'm in Safeway. They're putting lion meat in the fucking grocery stores. Lion meat.
Be a meme.
Hold on, guys. This could very easily be a joke in all seriousness.
It could be. It probably is. Maybe.
It probably is.
Maybe.
And by the way, there's nothing wrong with eating lion meat. They're not endangered. There was a big thing where there was some company in the West. They were going to have lion tacos, and everyone flipped their shit. And it's like, why? They're being hard. Why is it worse to kill a lion than to kill like a bull?
Yeah. I don't think there's enough lions that you could really like mass produce lion meat. And
no. They're. I think I know for a fact there's more tigers in captivity than in the wild, and they reproduce very easily.
It reminds me of that Serpulso bit where they have dinosaur eggs for lunch. They just get some lion steak. Oh, that's great.
I'm sure it's fine. Oh God.
Okay, yeah, good. I want to make sure we got to this one because I have strong opinions about this clip.
Well, that is Bud Light's controversial branding partnership with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney. The ad causing parent company Anheuser-Busch to see major losses. The stock fell more than 4% since March 31st. The company's market value falling by more than $5 billion. Women are outraged by it. Lee Carter, your reaction.
So Bud Light has a right to do this kind of a thing. It's a free market. And I think this was a huge miss. Frankly, if you want to support the trans community, I'm all for it. Let people be people. But when you look at that, she is perpetuating some of the worst myths about women. She seems like, oh, I don't know anything about sports, but it's a good excuse to drink. Like, this is not what I want my daughter to see. This is not what I want people to think women should be. If she wants to be a woman, want to be a successful, smart, savvy woman. That is perpetuating all of the stereotypes that I grew up with that we fought against.
Okay. So in my show, my full clip show, I played the clip of the woman you were talking about earlier, Michael, the woman in charge of marketing, and she was talking about how she wanted to do something fresh for the company or whatever. And after I played it, I was like, it'll be funny if I find a clip where they're talking about the $5 billion in losses. I can juxtaposition. So I went and searched up a clip where they're talking about the losses, and that's all I was looking for. Then when I watched this clip, I was like, what the heck? So this is Fox News. This is conservative media. I'm a conservative. I'm like a hardcore Christian social conservative. So the way I support the trans community, and I'm not saying this is your guys' view, you don't have to agree with this, but the way I support this, I don't like feed into their delusion. I don't believe men can be women. And it's frustrating for me when this is like the conservative media that's supposed to be representing me, this is how they talk, is like, oh, it's great to support the trans and she can do this, but
Well,
she's a stereotype. And the thing is, she doesn't believe what she's saying, because she's talking about how
yes, she does.
Dylan, no. I mean, she doesn't believe that like Dylan Mulvaney is a woman, right? Because she's talking about his performance that he's doing, and she doesn't agree with the script. She
Dylan
thinks
Mulvaney
the script
is
needs to be rewritten to be like more like girls like sports or whatever.
Dylan Mulvaney is a dude acting out of fetish.
Exactly. If they hired, Kim Kardashian to sell Bud Light, and Kim Kardashian was like, I don't like sports, but whatever, nobody would care, because a woman has one job as a beer spokesperson, which is to make you horny. So you're like, I'm going to go out and party. I'm going to go out and drink. They've been selling beer that way for decades and nobody complained. But
so I'm very close with the person that runs the show, called Maria Bartiromo, who basically left CNBC because it got too woke for her. Maria's great, and I think I can't claim this woman, Lee Carter, or what she thinks or knows, but I'm pretty sure Maria's like entrance to this was like dripping with sarcasm and like, kind of shitting on it all.
Hey Tiffany,
and
sorry, I'm
Lee's
baked.
comments are
And
what
I'm
they
out.
are. Like sometimes you get people on the show that, so I would just stick up for Fox for
Good to
2
see you.
seconds on that. But in terms of like this whole $5 billion loss, now that's kind of, I think the kids call it these days a cope. I hate that word, but the cope here is that like stocks go up and down all the time. And if a $100 billion company like that, it didn't lose $5 billion because, this thing, like you can't explain every single market gyration with, they lost $5 billion because this happened. Like the stock market's kind of had a roller coaster last few months. So it's not like precisely like, okay, they lost this because of that, but obviously they lost some goodwill.
But I think this is the kind of thing where when you are a brand and you take such a firm stand in the culture war, that's not the kind of thing that people forget overnight. I think it does have a lasting damage. If you're going to be the guy
when she was hot in the chat, there's a guy in the chat there says, "Did you bang Maria when she was hot?"
No, yeah, but if you're going to be the guy
or the CEO.
What up, LVA? Tiffany, thanks for dropping in. I do appreciate it. I'm kind of baked and I'm just watching the end of the tournament there. We have Matt hanging in there against E! News. He's like getting hand after fucking hand.
I mean, the board should can this guy.
If you're going to be buying something for a party, right, frat house, and there's Bud and Miller,
You're cool too. Thanks for hanging out.
there's going to be plenty of people making that marginal decision. Now I'm going to buy Miller Lite. It's really going to have repercussions.
All you have in these consumer products companies is your brand. That's all, your brand identity. Look at Coca-Cola. You're literally selling sugar water for a 10x markup. The reason people are buying your sugar water is because it says Coke and it gives you that emotion and this and that. And they have to be really careful and really smart about how to sell their sugar water that costs 10 cents to make for $1. Because if they fuck that up, people will stop, basically making this poor decision. Bud is the same way. They make a fortune selling this stuff. And they do that because they've crafted this brand over 100 years of loyalty and a brand vision, et cetera. And they just threw it down the toilet, after, decades of work.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big miss, and it has nothing to do with the fact that this person is LGBTQ or what that means.
That's a cope. It does have to do with
Means
that.
to me, it's an outrage because of the stereotype that you're promoting.
Absolutely.
She's like, just pick a better trans person and everything will be
so
fine.
dumb. Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
From ever being an issue or as much of an issue by addressing the root causes.
But even if it
which is
saves
poverty.
lives, you would not support something like more investment in police or prosecution or
No.
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 What was that?
So that's just a really nuanced bro clip, but he's talking to these, defund the police people, and he was just saying hypothetically, what if I showed you that having more police saved people's lives?
Yeah, that's why I was gonna blow it up.
No, it wouldn't matter. We still wouldn't want it.
Yeah, but I mean, are you surprised? There's in a certain subculture, fighting racism is more important than preserving life, right? So hiring more police in their logic means more racism. So that's a higher value than some secondary bourgeois value of property and life. So it makes perfect sense. And I think more conservatives need to appreciate that this isn't something you could sit down and have a discussion and be like, look, you guys, people's lives are being ruined. They don't care. They don't value human life. They value their ideology.
Thankfully, that's a strong minority opinion, right? Like ultimately, you're seeing this, like even in New York and San Fran. I hope I can't even set foot in San Fran, but like in New York, hopefully you're seeing like reason prevail over time. Like these people are the fringe.
Yeah, it's a very sheltered. I think there's a lot of people who think that way, but they're very sheltered. They don't have to deal with the problems of.
I don't know. Are we running another game? Matt set this one up. I'm sure he will. You can set up another one.
Like living in a high crime community. Right?
I think. Wait, hold on. We need to get into this because this is something I completely disagree with. When you hand wave away the fringe, and I don't disagree that it's the fringe. 10 years later, you have Dylan Mulvaney on the can of Bud Light, and you wonder how this happened.
You're right.
I think it's a real.
The fringe is what moves all culture. The fringe is what moves all culture, music, books, art, movies. Conservatives just think these ideas spontaneously come out of nowhere because they're not in these spaces. They think this is out-group. And then the next day they're saying Yas Queen and they don't know where this all came from.
Well, what's your solution? Are we going to send Proud Boys to their rally? I mean, like, there's no obvious way to win here.
I'm not, you don't have to Kathy Newman me. My point being to kind of just say that, okay, look at these crazy people. These crazy people have a lot more clout with corporate America and with high ups in both parties than I think anyone watching the stream would be comfortable with. And until there is some kind of educated strategy and response, this is going to be something. New York didn't just happen this way overnight. San Francisco didn't just spontaneously and California didn't spontaneously become California. California used to be a reliably Republican state. Reagan was elected twice governor in major landslides, and many other people came from there. Nixon as well. Earl Warren, who was vice presidential candidate.
Republican.
Schwarzenegger had a jungle primary, which says you're
conservative or anything.
Right, but he was still a Republican, and now it's completely gone blue. So the fringe, you can mock it, and of course that's useful, but it's not the fact that it's a small number. Small numbers are what move countries and move ideas.
I agree with everything you just said. I would just add that as long as the majority makes its voice heard, then the fringe is sort of separated. It's when there's that vacuum and that fear of, I can't say that I want my beer to be manly, then that fringe encroaches and has an ability to fill that vacuum and say, no, beer should look like this. And so I think you're right. It's just a matter of like.
I mean, in Chicago, they just elected the mayor who was like super lefty, like super kind of anti-police and like pro these like low prosecution or whatever. And by the way, the last 2 days in Chicago, they've had like riots and wilding. They call it.
You saw that video with the girl getting this.
Yeah, I saw that video. Yeah, horrifying. And it's just, and San Francisco is another kind of example of that, where these sort of like defund the police policies have been put into practice because people vote for they literally say, I'm going to do this, and they get voted in, and then they do it. So
no, I disagree. They're not. The police aren't getting defunded anywhere. What's happening is the prosecutors are refusing to enforce the law.
It's more the prosecutors.
Matt's singing in there.
And the police can arrest them, but it's literally like a revolving door. You're out in the street by the end of the day.
You're busy enforcing the law on running memes, illegal memes. Yeah. You got to get those fraudsters where nobody lost money. You got to get all the situations that are politically like the NRA. Oh, President Trump, he's got to go down for the Stormy Daniels payment. Forget the actual crime.
Wait, Martin, are you under like right now probation or anything? Like, is there any danger of you going back to jail?
I got 2 years left on probation.
2 years left. Okay.
Some Hutchinson residents tonight are angry after a picture of a local company's truck blew up on social media, showing what appears to be a reference to a white supremacist slogan printed on the side of it.
Tonight, the owner says he's defending that slogan, saying it will bring him more business. KC Eli Higgins spent the day in Hutchinson to get to the bottom of it. Eli?
Well, Dad, we're talking about the photo you see on the screen behind me. This truck has the phrase 14 words by David Lane printed on the side. If you don't know what this
Did
is,
you think it was going to be "It's okay to be white"?
I thought it was going to be like "It's okay to be white" or like that sign. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think it was literally going to be the 14 words.
Well, it's not literally the 14 words. It's a reference to the 14 words. So
it's meta, yes.
Not the only one, but when residents found out, they were shocked.
This truck, owned by Kansas Air Cedar Service, is drawing a lot of attention in the streets of Hutchinson. Printed on the side, 14 words by David Lane.
I don't care what a bunch of
degenerates, Marxists, and pedophiles have to say about my work.
Owner Ross Hack defends the saying. A quick Google search shows that 14 Words by David Lane is a reference to a 14-word quote that says, "We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children."
I love how the guy trolled the news into like reciting the 14 words for their whole audience.
You think this is a troll?
I don't think it should be a news story.
Not a my point being, by having that on his truck, he leveraged the media
Okay, sure.
and got the message
I
much wider.
I'm going on the record. I don't support, Nazi propaganda or white supremacy in any way, shape, or form.
Sure. No, I'm Jewish. I'm not supporting.
Like this, to me, it's. I'm not sure what the point of this clip is, because like every other clip, I felt like was something that I'm against, but here it's like I don't want.
I know. I'm not trying to get you to endorse Nazi propaganda.
We all heard him do it. We all heard him say it. He said it. I endorsed it. That's what he said.
Right. But I would say white people aren't allowed to have anything positive about them. Whether it's it's okay to be white. That's hate speech according to the ADL. And this phrase also is not saying anything bad about other people, but it's a news story.
I'm not an expert on Nazism or Nazi propaganda, but I thought that the 14 words thing was like a sort of like a Hitler allusion.
Yeah, it's a white nationalist phrase.
Yeah,
I guess it's like a dog whistle, I guess.
Yeah, it's okay to be white, but I'm not sure it's okay to be white at the exclusion of everyone else.
Sure. The reason I wanted to play this clip is actually I wanted to ask you, Martin, because of your prison experience. I know you've talked about your prison experience a lot, but I just wanted to use this to ask about sort of the racial issues in there. I've seen shot caller. Is that basically how it is? Like, did you have to get a bunch of swastika tattoos to stay alive in there?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I met this dude. So the only time I ever heard that phrase in my whole life, maybe I'm sheltered, was in prison. Where I met a dude who had stuff on his knuckles. He had all kinds of like tattoos, and he was a cop. Actually, was a dirty cop. At the higher security prisons, there's a lot of white supremacy. So it's a small community, and there's a guy named Ross Ulbricht who was.
Yeah, Dread Pyro. Oh wow, I've had his mom on my show, Lynn Ulbricht. He's really a political prisoner. Just awful.
I think so too. But the scuttlebutt or the rumors from prison wars that basically he had to kick in with the white supremacy.
That's it.
The sort of Aryan Nation type gangs, and if he didn't do that, he wouldn't be safe in prison. So he decided to do that, and then the next step though was that they.
Congrats, the news. GG, Matt. Yeah, if Boss wants to play another one, you want me to set it up, or are you going to set it up, Matt?
He's in for life, as you know. Yeah. And at those very high security prisons, you have to actually do stuff for the team. And they basically wanted him to kill somebody, which
oh my God.
At those high security prisons, it's basically like free for all. You're in for life. Like, it doesn't fucking matter if you kill a guy or not kill a guy, right? And what's the point of punishing somebody? You're in for life. It's just sort of like one of these weird dynamics. And so in essence,
solve the problem for the state. If you're killing each other, that's one less bed they have to worry about, right? Yeah.
Pretty much. So basically, they told him to go. They handed him, what they needed to, and they told him to go kill a guy, and he said he couldn't do it. And they said, listen, we're not going to do anything to you, but you have to check in, which is a jail term that means you have to voluntarily go to the police, the CO, the correctional officer, and basically say that you don't feel safe in the prison and you have to be in solitary confinement and so forth. And, he's had a real hard time in prison, from what I understand. He's a skinny, nerdy kid. This isn't the kind of place for a kid like that. He obviously did some kind of crime, but I know the judge that sentenced him was actually so bad that she was asked to leave, basically, and now she's not a judge anymore. She was constantly over sentencing people. If somebody would deserve 10, she'd give him 20. And, you know, she basically gave Ross double life. So even if he beats one life sentence, he's got the other one, and then another 30 years if he beats the life sentences. So it's, you know, all for a drug dealer, right? And people, as you know, people don't understand about that case is that they said, oh, didn't he put a hit on somebody? He was not convicted of that.
There was not even evidence presented that he did that. They didn't even bother to try him for that. And yet the media had made it a point that this guy was trying to hire hitmen.
Once you're in the media's circumstances, like they dress up the case because it's interesting. They need clickbait. They need, you know, all that stuff. So, oh, this bad kid, you know, he put a hit on somebody. Well, you know, you're basically guilty in the court of, you know, public opinion before you actually had a trial. And it's really unfair. But yeah, no, the Aryan Nation stuff was really, there's 4 prison security levels. I was in the second one. In 3 and 4, there's more of that white supremacist, stuff. There was one guy who came up to me and he says, Martin, I got about 40 wolves with me that ready to roll anytime something goes down. And I go, okay. And he goes, just telling you, kid, when shit goes down, they only see one color. Brown, black, set up. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, so are you with us or not? And I'm like, dude, I think I'm gonna hang out with the black dudes in my room.
Doc's even live right now. He's
like, it was just such a weird attempt to turn
I literally
not very dangerous.
I didn't look to see who was live. I just kind of
segregated
kind of just
did you generally feel safe while you were there?
That's why I have admins that can run the tournament if I'm not there, right?
So it was segregated. Okay. But you know, you have to be able to like see reality for what it is. Like anytime like a new computer nerd would like come to prison, that wasn't a pedophile, which is very rare. They'd come to me and be like, oh, hey, Shkreli, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And then you'd see 2 guys in the back or something like start to yell at each other, like, yeah, motherfucker, I'm gonna kill you, da da da. And the kid would get scared. He'd be like, oh my God, are they about to? I was like, oh, dude, it's all bark, no bite. Like, I'm waiting for some action here. I'm desperate to see somebody fucking up. But it's all like, you know, it's all BS. Occasionally you'll see something, but it was like fairly mundane. And, you know, ultimately, you know, I would say like there is a lot of segregation, and what that do.
Hey, last responder. Last responder, thanks for coming in. I'm gonna leave this going. It's almost over with, I think, and then pay attention, friends in code.
Doesn't appear.
Dude said is somewhat true, right? Like you affiliate with certain groups, they're separated racially at the lunch hall, you know, running around the track. But you'll still see like you know, there are a couple of white supremacist guys in the prison. I would still see them like talk to black guys and stuff, and you'd be like, you're not like really about what you're talking about.
Was it more of a classist thing than a racist thing?
I would say no. I would say, you know, a lot of it was geography. Some of it was race, especially like Mexican, Puerto Rican, Dominican. There was a lot of like that type of affiliation. Certainly black guys stuck together. And certainly there were a lot of white guys who had that sort of classist attitude of like, oh, these guys live like animals. And I'd be like, dude, you're one of, like, we're all criminals here. Like, stop fucking pretending that you're better than somebody else. You know, I mean,
you grew up in Sheepshead Bay, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I grew up in Bensonhurst, so yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
There's a list of top-ranking medical professionals. Let's take a look.
I'm talking about, excuse me,
Dr. Peter McCullough. No, I want to go through what happened
consensus.
Here. This is the problem with the consensus.
The consensus.
Okay, I just
medical professional.
I want you to
because the medical is so huge. I can find you an astrophysicist who is sure we've been visited by aliens. That's not the
problem. Was the scientific method died here, and this is the point I want to make. It died a death here, and I need you to help me save it because Dr. Peter McCullough is the leading cardiologist.
I don't care if titles don't matter here.
But what should matter?
What should matter?
What should matter was that the consensus was not allowing to the table.
Then you bring that person here and have this conversation.
I have.
Okay. So you don't have to have the conversation with me.
Yeah, so that full clip actually goes on for several minutes where they keep kind of arguing the same thing. I trimmed it down, but so essentially like Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's like, it doesn't matter what some fringe dudes say. It's like it's fine that they got censored or whatever because they were going against the consensus. And it's just kind of a very, I mean, that's not how science works, right? Like the other guy was just like totally right what he was saying.
Can I read a quote from someone who I know you like, and Martin, I don't know if you like her, Margaret Thatcher. I got her on my book cover right behind me. This was the intro to one of my chapters in one of my books. And she said, if you look at the great philosophies and ideas that have moved the world, if you look at the great religions, do you think you would have ever had these great guidelines had people gone out and said, brothers, I believe in consensus? Of course you wouldn't. You would have had nothing great, nothing of value. And she's exactly right. He's totally full of crap, and it's a very evil thing for him to say.
Yeah, I'm not that as strong as that. I do agree that, you know, if you look at relativity and other things like that, they were basically heresy until they were accepted. And that does happen in science a lot. At the same time, there is some value in consensus. It's not like it's worthless. So Neil, I don't like Neil particularly because I think he's like a pop scientist masquerader, and he's not really. I mean, he's got serious scientific chops, but he's also an astrophysicist. He's not, you know, in epidemiology or medicine, you know. So he kind of just shouldn't be there at all. I don't know. It's just one of these things that this COVID thing is like it's a very, very complicated subject. And there's a ton of
social pressure, right? Like the kind of the impression I get from watching that clip is like Neil, he just, and you see this with like
You can't hear the desktop? Yeah, I'm in. If Anna gets back in, we'll have more than one payout. Wait, it's Tiffany. Should we jump in?
There's a lot of things wrong.
We got Michael Malice. I don't know the host's name, but it's it's called I Hypocrite is the name of the podcast. Michael Malice and Martin Shkreli.
Fantastic advances sometimes, and sometimes it gives us this shit, and it get things wrong. And the same thing happened with physics. People resisted Einstein. He persevered. You know, there's tons of theories in science that take time for the tide to turn. I'm not sure that science and the scientific method fucked up here necessarily. I think the blame lays maybe in politicians and some other people. But, you know, I don't know that, like, there's this, you know, gigantic failure of science, because you would then need to claim that the system is perfect, and the system's not perfect. And again, it's nuanced and difficult. I know we're here to entertain as well as to inform, but I have to stick to, like, you know, this is like something we could spend hours on, and I don't know that interchange is like that. You know,
it's not the science that failed; it was the media and the corporate press.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah,
media. So they very much silenced opposing views. And if let's suppose I were a politician, right, Republican or Democrat, and I went on TV, especially early on, and I said, guys, let's hold on, take a deep breath, like this stuff's not adding up, I'd be impeached.
It's my homemade beef jerky. My own recipe.
Impeached in 2 seconds. Like, there's not even a question. I think we all remember what it was like. And if you're not going from 0 to 100 instantly, you are literally going to kill everyone in the country. Was the moving time.
Right, and I think, like, we've grown to distrust government because of government, and, like, you know, this never would have happened 40 years ago or 50 years ago. We just take the vaccine and fucking move on. And, you know, it's gotten to a place where people question everything. I mean, there's a point where people are questioning things they probably shouldn't question. You know, and I think that's not a good thing, to be frank. And again,
every time I eat beef jerky, the big Maine Coon comes in the room.
again, I didn't want to have a serious, if you guys don't want to have a serious discussion that requires some brain cells, we don't have to have one. But I also think like there is a lot of thought that has to go into this stuff as to why is this happening. And, I do think there are things that we shouldn't question, like the moon landing or, certain things that are just like, they're beyond the pale of conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
and
I agree with what you're saying. I don't think the vaccine necessarily. I think the vaccine was probably okay to question a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
Did they make you take it in prison, or how did that work?
They didn't make us take it, but I do think that, like, the way we approached this thing was very heavy-handed and kind of like, it didn't instill a lot of confidence. And the problem with politics and media is they didn't understand that we had gotten to this low point. It's like they're oblivious that, like, they think, oh, Americans trust us. And like when I went in front of Congress and tried to lampoon the House, in front of guys like, God rest his soul, I don't remember his name, but people like Trey Gowdy and
it's been in the refrigerator a while. I took it right out of the fridge, so it's hasn't had a chance to really thought much.
Fellow who passed away from Maryland, big black dude. These congressmen were like really like aghast.
George Floyd. Sorry, I was distracted. I just noticed we have 2,000 people watching on Rumble.
Elijah Cummings, Congressman Elijah Cummings. Like the fact that like these folks were like so amazingly surprised that someone would like dare, kind of like make fun of Congress or like try to thumb their nose at Congress. It just shows you how like aloof they are and unaware that like people hate you guys, like they don't respect you, they don't trust you, and you're making it worse.
One of my favorite Twitter replies, which always gets huge numbers, I will just tell, usually it's a journalist, but sometimes a congressman, I don't think you appreciate how much hatred and contempt the average person feels toward you. And the replies are always like, that's the understatement of the century. And
He keeps standing up on his haunches and tapping my arm because he wants to piece of his beef jerky.
It's absolutely true, and it's a glorious thing. And the more we can add gasoline to the fire, the more happy I am.
Yeah.
No, me too. Until there's a point where, again, put this vaccine aside for a second. Let's say there was an actual disease we did need to vaccinate everyone for. They just fucked it up, right? Like, let's say smallpox comes back, and smallpox is like 30% mortality rate. Now what?
There's a big loss in trust. Yeah. I don't want to keep you guys too long, so we'll keep moving. And I get what you're saying, Martin, and it would be cool to, but like the COVID topic is too big for this.
But can I ask Martin one more question? Martin, are you allowed to like? Are you allowed to like leave New York? Are you like? What are the terms of your
permission? Yeah.
You need permission.
It's terrible. Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know if you guys heard, but we have like 2,000 people watching on Rumble now, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, it's great. I just wanted to make a quick ad for Pfizer. Pfizer paid me $5,000. So just wanted to be clear that as a farmer pro, I am in favor of all things vaccinated. I'm quadruple boosted. I actually have taken the phase 1 trials for other vaccines. So there's no way I'm getting COVID.
Are you
suckers? You're all dying.
Is it true that you're on the spectrum?
I don't. What spectrum are you talking about? The electromagnetic spectrum? Or
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about, Martin. Is it true? Because I mean, that would explain you. Obviously, if you're vaccinated, you're going to be on the spectrum.
No, I'm not vaccinated. Okay, I'm not on the spectrum. I'm definitely vaccinated. I didn't take the boosters though.
You're not on the spectrum? Okay, cool. I'm just curious.
No, I'm not autistic, but I think like, listen, the vaccine shit is complicated. I know more about this than any of you guys and any of you guys watching as well. So if you want to have like a vaccine debate, we can do that. I'm not exactly pro-vax. I'm not exactly anti-vax either, though.
No, I'm the same. I think it's probably for like really high risk group people. It's probably good, and maybe it shouldn't be pushed on like.
But I'm sure you'd agree that it's ridiculous that you can only come to America if you're vaccinated right now, and that's going to be the case to May 11th.
Yeah, that's
we
need to.
She has to give him insulin twice a day.
Okay.
I need to fix that.
You can come to America with COVID, but not if you're not vaccinated.
Not you learn about LGBTQ plus in
Oh,
school.
this clip. Oh, gee, this made me
You don't have a choice. It's one of our values, the British value. And if you refuse to do it, that will be dealt with severely. Why would I care if anyone in this room wants to love somebody, whether it's to be a man or a woman? Why would I care if someone wants to say, do you know what, I don't know if I'm more male or female, I'm exploring. Why does that matter to me? And if there are people sat here who don't agree with what I'm saying, you need to go home and have a conversation with your parents and say, why are my values so different to what Britain is? Why have I got this view? Where does it come from? The only thing that you can be taken out of is sex education, and that is from your parents speak to me and get permission. Nobody in this room has done that. LGBTQ is not sex education. That is relationships.
So you posted this on Twitter. I retweeted it.
Yeah.
And this makes me absolutely livid. And I'm just going to drop one of my quotes that's been made into people have memed. Stop having people who despise you raise your children as their own. And that's really all it comes down to, in my opinion.
I don't know how that
just wanna
person's an
in case
educator.
people missed it at the beginning, he's saying you're going to learn about LGBTQ, and anybody who doesn't want to will be dealt with severely. That was the phrase that really I was like, whoa! It's like he's like threatening them. Like, you got a problem with this, you're going to be dealt with, little punk.
Yeah, that's not something that an educator should ever be saying. And what about teaching kids like useful things like linear algebra and computer science and financial literacy and like stuff that's like meant to take us to the next century? We're kind of missing the beat here. If you need to learn about that stuff, you can learn about it through society, through home. Like nobody taught us, like Mike, how to defend ourselves in second grade. You learn it in the schoolyard.
The goal of government education explicitly is to make good citizens, and what they mean by that is people who are docile.
I think more on the he's not retarded. He's got an exceptionally high IQ.
I was wondering if he's still getting views at all.
Subservient to the ideology of the ruling class, in which case now it happens to be pro-LGBT. 50 years ago was violently anti-LGBT. It's insane that conservatives still aren't making abolishing government schools their top priority. It's absolutely demonic. And I say this as someone who watches Drag Race.
I would only just add that we have spoken to people who
I don't know. She didn't say goodnight. Her battery was dying, I think, too. She was saying.
have been sacked that used to be in content moderation, and we've spoken to people very recently who were involved in moderation, and they just say there's not enough people to police this stuff, particularly around hate speech in the company.
What hate speech are you talking about? I mean, you use Twitter,
right?
Do you see a rise in hate speech?
I mean,
just a personal anecdote. Like, what do you? I don't.
Personally, my for you, I would see I get more of that kind of content. Yeah, personally, but I'm not going to talk to the rest of for the rest of Twitter.
You see more hate speech personally.
I would say I would see more hateful content in that
content you don't like or hateful. What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
Yeah, I mean, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
No,
is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm
just curious. I'm trying to understand what you mean by hateful content. I'm asking for specific examples. And you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examples. Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use.
You can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why, because I don't actually use that for you feed anymore, because I just don't particularly like it.
He's such a weasel. Hey, he's like, well, look, I've been using it. I see it. Okay, give me an example. Well, I don't use it anymore. So
here's
I can't
the
give you an
thing.
example.
This is why I'm so hopeful for the future. The enemy class is not composed of impressive people.
Oh, when you're taking a brilliant guy and putting him up against some dope, like, it's the only tool they have is to cut and paste these interviews and like maybe get a slight gotcha out of 2 hours.
Yeah.
They can take the 30 seconds where Elon's the weakest and they put that on BBC and make him look bad. So when you do it like this, it's impossible, to have the others, it'll happen the other way around.
Yeah, I don't know if this guy necessarily represents the cream of the crop of the enemy class either, right? This guy's kind of just a peon. He's a foot soldier.
He's not a foot
thank
soldier.
God for Elon Musk.
I'm sorry. Hold on. You don't send a foot soldier to interview Elon Musk. If you're
Send your
at
best.
that, if
That's
you're
a
at
good
that,
point.
maybe it's not the best, but you're not sending the interns. You're sending someone who's really, especially with Elon being so antagonistic with the media, you're sending someone who you think can somewhat hold their own. They sent Kathy Newman against Jordan Peterson. I mean, she got completely BTFO'd. Like, they do not have these heavy hitters because, to Martin's point, 10, 20 years ago, you're going to have the 3 seconds on the evening news that mom and dad watch around the kitchen table. Now there's no reason for not releasing the whole interview. And then when you see these people talk, like The View, you're like, holy crap, people are literally mentally deficient.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, protect Elon at all. I see some people in the chat complaining about Elon, which always happens anytime you praise him. He's not perfect, but what he's done for Twitter has been
He made
huge
the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation flee Twitter, which is more than any Republican has
NPR
done
too.
to get them to flee a field of battle.
Yeah.
That is
I'm
more than
still
any Republican has done.
so I've been banned from Twitter for 7 years. I did less jail time than my Twitter ban, right? For an actual felony. And my big issue was Lauren Duca, who said that all white men should be canceled.
Some of these you can't.
Which
right?
was pretty hateful
on that
speech.
Yeah.
And the reason I got canceled is I took a photo of her and her husband, and I photoshopped my face on her husband's face.
I kind of remember that. Actually, that's
it was funny.
crazy to think you would get banned for that.
Permanent ban, 7 years, still waiting. I'm finally talking to a few Twitter executives that are hopefully getting me unbanned. And it's just like, the double standard. I mean, we don't have to go. We know what the double standard was. But I think that getting back to the greater point, which is like, this is the standard the media wanted Twitter, which is a media company, to enforce for its own behalf. And now that the blue check marks, which were the journalists' most prized possession. It was like a badge, like a police officer would have a badge, just my blue check mark. And now those are gone, and it's like so emasculating for these journalists.
By the way, I got a cop to quit, and he sent me his badge, so I have it right here.
Then you must have at some point seen for you hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one.
And I'm saying...
Then I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yes, because you can't give me a single example of hateful content, not even one tweet. And yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Well,
that's false.
No, what I
You just lied.
You mean was this the front window or FIC in the background?
Oh, yeah. Dude, he'll even tell you himself. They fucking called him from the ankle company.
What I claim was there are many organizations that say that that kind of information is on the rise. Now, whether it has on my
Give me
feed
one
or
example.
not, I mean, right, and
Literally
you can look
can't
at
name
something
one.
like the Strategic Dialogue Institute in the UK.
I think this is the last clip here, so we're winding down.
Awesome. And I got to bounce.
Yeah, probably getting tired. But so yeah, the last clip, and then we got a few quick super chats to punch through, just a few.
The way that it happens is, I know that in California, at least, with the phasing out of gas-powered cars, and they'll probably do the same thing with gas stoves, is they just ban the sale of any new gas-powered cars or any new gas stoves. And so the technology that you have in your home, the gas stove that you have in your home, if it breaks, not only are you not able to buy a new one, but it gets increasingly more difficult to just repair it. You get what I'm saying? And so,
I get it, but that's a bump. That's the normal bumps in the road as you transition to things.
I know, but Cenk, don't minimize the financial burdens associated with these things, okay?
No, I'm not
Because I am literally freaking the fuck out about the charging station thing.
So Anna, her condo, I guess, or her block that she lives on or whatever, they have to pay to put in charging stations for electric cars. It's like a mandate where she is in California. Well, it's just funny seeing Anna. She's kind of being more and more red-pilled by life. Like, she's been complaining about crime. She was complaining about people calling women birthing persons. She said, "Don't call me a birthing person," and then she got lots of flack from the trans lobby, people calling her transphobic. and now she's complaining about having to pay for charging stations for electric cars.
know
Like,
anything about that.
five more years, Anna's going to be like a hardcore neocon.
No, she won't. They'll just keep doubling down. It's like, oh, boo-hoo, look, here come the easily foreseen consequences of my actions.
I see her going on Dasha's show possibly as a co-host.
Dasha, the Red Scare.
I think there's probably more beef between the two of them than people realize.
Anna and Shank, or
yeah.
There does seem to be some real tension. Anyway, I know we're going kind of long here, so let's just skip to the super chats. Like I said, there's just a few. Let me see here. I think a lot of them are. Mr. Wright sent $5, and it's just
he got fucked with so
Light.
Dude, motherfucker's trying to kill his ass.
WPWW sent $5 and said, "Well, yep. Thank you for the support, guys. I do appreciate it." LBRT sent $5 and said, "Hail Odyssey." And
when you get to sit down and talk with the man,
sent roughly $15.
Holy fuck!
I appreciate the support.
The fact that he has any
and there's
compassion
one
at all left.
From Naboopsh who said, "I gave." He sent $11 and said, "I gave copies of Malice's Dear Reader to Koreans."
Oh, wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's like
Thank you. I
that was like a
appreciate that.
parody about Kim Jong.
It wasn't a parody. It was written from North Korean propaganda, so it's their perspective on the history of Korea.
But you wrote it, didn't you?
Correct. It's the world's second unauthorized autobiography.
Yeah. So satire. That's what I was.
No, farce. It's not a satire because I played it straight. Because the material is so over the top, you don't need to kind of twist up the volume on it.
Okay, here.
When the North Korean propaganda will tell you that he's a hero because he went to the roller coaster to try it out, and it was drizzling, and oh my God, he's so brave, and everyone clapped. It's literally in their literature, so you can't satirize stuff like that. Or you can, but you shouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you. Cool. Well, that's basically the show, guys. I want to thank my guests so much for coming. Really appreciate your time. It means a lot to me, and I was really enjoyable. You guys like have a lot to say. Like we could have just had no clips and just talked easily. I can tell, but that's great.
Welcome.
I'll give you a chance for like final words, final thoughts, plugs if you want, whatever you want to do. Malice, do you want to go first?
It's just I just been wanting to talk to Shkreli for a minute, so this has been a lot of fun. I'll slide into your DMs and I'll have you on my show at some point. Is that cool?
Yeah, I'd love to.
You have to say yes right now. You can think about it. I don't want to put you on the spot. Okay.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, and anytime, man. This is a blast.
Awesome, really appreciate it. Thanks,
and keep up the good work on Twitter. Keep up the good work on Twitter.
I'm trying to get my main account unbanned.
No,
so
I was talking to you.
Well, my one plug is my prayer to everyone to ask Elon Musk to unban my main account, which is at Martin Shkreli. I had lots of users. All I did on that account was give government shit. I had, a lot of reach with that, and they had to obviously censor it. So love to get my account unbanned, Milo, all the people that have been in Twitter purgatory.
Yeah, Elon, unban this guy, and Destiny, celebrity boxing match for charity. Hey, raise money for charity.
GG.
How about it? All right, guys.
Johnny
thanks
Bravo.
for watching. Thanks to the guests, and we'll catch you all later. Peace out.
Oh, I'm folding.
Running scared?
What the hell is he listening to?
I was just told I was hot. I just wanted to talk to you just on the phone. Okay. Would you mind introducing yourself? We're live on the Eric Brand Show.
So.
Johnny Bravo. FK Taylor Haynes.
Oh, Mr. Nelson, how you doing, buddy? Hey, guys. I'm doing just fine. We got William Nelson on the line. So, tell us, William.
Johnny Bravo.
Why do you like to pick on blind people?
You can hear me scream. That's on Ghost Stream in the Springs
We got damn evidence that he ain't blind. I mean, I've never seen a blind man on his roof clean his gutter. You haven't? No, have you ever been to a blind gutter cleaning service? Every single one of them are blind.
At the blind gutter cleaning services, every single one of them is blind.
I mean,
so you seem to purport to be an expert on blindness. How many years have you been blind?
Oh, I'm not reporting I'm an expert. I'm just saying that we've got evidence showing that this man is definitely not blind.
You have evidence that he's definitely not blind.
Yeah, he's blind. I'm a unicorn. Last time I have a horn protrude out of my head.
Well, if you pull that horn out of your buddy's ass, you might be able to see it, right?
Johnny Bravo.
I mean, you know, yeah.
Oh shit. Battery saver.
Oh, you guys are pissing me off. That's a problem here, right? Because you guys are terrible people. You're bad people, and your tradecraft speaks for itself.
Everybody gets along and then
No.
actually kind of use provocative language around kids and stuff like that. That's where we draw the line at around.
So you're the standard on language nowadays, huh? You have the standard on language? Cops do rape kids. Yeah.
Well, like if you ain't talk without interrupting for 5 minutes, I can actually say what I got to say. I would actually appreciate that. That's actually common respect.
You assume that there was respect here.
Right. To be respectful to me, you have to be respectful to the Constitution. And what you guys did was a disgrace to the Constitution. It's not worthy of respect. There should be no bones about it that what you did was wrong.
Well, what he did was wrong as well, like I said.
Oh no, what he did was protected. That's the problem. That's the problem, is that you rednecks are too fucking stupid to read the Constitution. What he did was right. And if you think it's not right, then you take that fucking American flag off of your head, you take it off of your pole, and you shove that fucking pole up your goddamn asshole! I'm not going to blow an aneurysm. What I blow, you're not going to want to see, buddy. Okay? Because I fought for this country, and I'm still fighting for this country, and I did not fight for this country so some goddamn two-bit, toothless redneck could take those rights away from a goddamn blind man. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
I mean, you fought for America. Where were you stationed? Where were you stationed at, by the way?
I was stationed for all of my training. You want to hear the whole history? I graduated at the top of my class from Naval Nuclear Power Training Command in Orlando, Florida. I did my prototype training in Ladson, South Carolina, where, believe you me, the war is still alive and well. And then I was on the USS Birmingham out of Pearl Harbor, and then I transferred to the USS Columbus out of Pearl Harbor. I was a propulsion plant operator, propulsion plant supervisor on nuclear submarines. Say again?
I mean, so you're telling me that you were, pretty much an engineer per se?
Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, that's engineering.
So you was in action tech.
Oh, believe me, I got plenty of action. I had an officer key.
I will be respectful. I appreciate you serving this country.
Well, thank you. Now, what I want you to do is be respectful and honor that service. And you honor that service by honoring the First Amendment. The First Amendment doesn't say shit everybody wants to hear. The First Amendment says you don't have to like it, but you have to tolerate it. And when you commit felonies and acts of violence against a man holding a sign, blind or otherwise, you have committed treason against the Constitution.
Well, hell, everybody's commits treason nowadays anyways. I mean, I see
so now he's trying to...
No, listen, Mr. Nelson, I'm not going to let you downplay the fact that you guys essentially lynch mobbed a blind man. That's not okay in any fucking universe.
But technically, wasn't we also exercising our First Amendment by counter-protesting, though?
Okay, your counter protest. Hey, I'm not talking about the counter protest, right? I've had people come stand next to me that's with signs that say "fuck this guy" all the time. You committed acts of violence against a person holding a sign. His activity was protected whether you liked it or not, and you committed acts of violence. Those are crimes. You committed acts of violence against a known disabled person, and whether you fucking believe it or not is irrelevant. You did it.
But it really wasn't for the blind man. This actually standing for real mouthy attendants that was there living that wanted to try to, what they audit, I think that's what they actually call them, that was trying to provoke people to be violent. But
Okay. So every time Eric talks to this cocksucker, right? And every time Eric says something, is it me or does he divert the conversation to something else? Right? I've heard like three diversions. You know, I mean, his daddy taught him crowd. I mean, that boy can convert the fucking the liability for.
Guys, that was a table ace high flush. Anybody who would have called would have split that with me.
Oh no, I watched that shit live. You're not gonna pull the wool over my eyes. I'm a little smarter than the average bear, huh? You committed acts of violence against a blind man, then you did it again, and then you did it again, and then you did it again.
Johnny Bravo.
4 times you guys did that.
Eric opens his mouth and comes correct.
we're actually inside real. I mean, like I said, I was there with the actually more important message, in my opinion, of Big Matter and bring the McRib back. I thought that was more important matters. That's what
I did get a good chuckle out of the McRib Lives Matter, the McRib back. I think that was that's a great sign. That's a good counter protest sign. But when you stalk him, when you roll coal on him, when you instill fear in him, when you go to his house, when you publish his address, those are the things that made that man scared and put his family in danger, and that is not America. That is not okay. And I will not let you minimize it.
But isn't that the same thing you're doing?
No. I didn't commit any felonies. Hey, it's just public record.
In Florida. So, and while we're bringing up the address, why wasn't you actually show where the Stoneville Elementary School is, the schoolyard and stuff like that? What was the point behind that on trying to show children that are from kindergarten to the preschool to 3rd grade?
Because I don't care which little town your school is in, I'm a big fan of public education, and we're going to target a public education campaign at that school at the height of the students being there. Why? Because you guys are incapable of teaching them right from wrong, and I'm going to do it for you.
But why was it on your stream of bashing people in the area that you showed the school on the live stream trying to bash them? That's what I'm trying to get at. That was really thing kind of pushed me over the edge and pushed me hopefully that I was on live.
Okay. So when he showed that, it was a Google image. Right? It was Google. Everybody and their motherfucking mama could see it.
That's what I really want to know. Is why are we showing the schoolyard and stuff like that that's showing, put out to the world the pedophiles and everything else? I mean, you claim to be fighting for them. I mean, wouldn't you be fighting against pedophiles and everything else?
This has nothing to do with pedophiles. This has everything to do with public education. You guys didn't get your education the easy way. Your education system is obviously deficient, and we are superior, and we're going to come in and fix you. Right? Why?
You're diverting from my actual question.
No, I'm not.
My question was, why on a badge, a Tyler Haynes, is go on and show, never mention about you're going to do anything with the schools or anything. It's all in a rant about him and where you was on the phone with him earlier today. And you show the school and the actual street view of the school, the playground, and everything else
Sure did. It's just public record. If anybody knows about public records, it's Andy Flincham and the people in your town. Let me. I don't know if you're watching my live stream right now, but I'm going to play a video here. No, I'm going to answer your question here. I'm going to play this video titled "Tommy Lyles Talks Shit About Blind Justice's Children." This is on Carolina Guardian's channel. You guys go ahead and go to Carolina Guardian. I'm gonna. Something that people want to just ask you. You're in a different video now. You posted a video with Tyler Haynes, asking him, and you show street view, the address, and everything to Stonebrook Elementary. Sure did. And put a threat. And so, like, your exact words was, tell the mama I'm putting up where their little kids go. Wasn't that exactly the words you used? Stuff like that. I'm going to publish pictures of their babies. That's right. So the point is against your say that you're trying to protect the amendment and protect the country. Sure am. You're opening up a whole different putting it out there in the world for all the pedophiles in the world. Let me let you in on a little secret. There ain't nothing that I publish that them pedophiles don't already have access to. But the point is that you're sitting here saying one thing. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And then every question, you divert away from what I've even asked. You want to go to other subjects about other people, like Andy Flincham and stuff like that. Oh, you want to bring up children? I want to tell you why I'm bringing up your children, right? Because you terrorized that man and his children. You people are continuing to, and that's why round 2 is Tommy Lyles, motherfucker. Tommy Lyles, you fucked up. All right. Well, let me go. I may be a motherfucker. I may be, but I'm fucking. It's no kin to me.
Oh, how cute.
You expect me to believe that from North Carolina? You guys are funny. That's a pretty funny joke. Actually, I might have to use that one. Yeah. I just keep on hearing you use the word motherfucker, so I just want to clarify that. Sure. So here's this. Got this video playing in the background. I don't know if you can hear it if you're watching it.
Fuck thing is it's so blurry we can't see it anyway. So.
Okay, all right. Now I thought you were Tyler. I guess you're not Tyler. What's your name, sir?
What kills me is we're 16 minutes into this, and he asked him what his name is again. I think he's told him a couple times. And Eric's the master of fuck with you. Okay, Eric has a mind that is a trap. It just fucking absorbs everything. Right? But he knows how to fuck with him by asking him his name again.
I said
That's a next level troll thing if you didn't know about it.
Yeah.
You just keep asking them who they are. I'm sorry, you made so little of an impression on me. I forgot your name. I need to know your name. I mean, you can pour whatever kind of salt or whatever, or you can just do like he did.
I did notice that you called me from Taylor's phone, but what's your name, sir? I done told you. My name is William Nelson. William Nelson, that's right. You did tell me that. I forgot. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me on that. So I don't think that children should be excluded from this public education campaign. I'm very concerned that the parents of these children are incapable of teaching them right from wrong. From what I have seen from Madison, North Carolina, and all of you guys coming into Madison, right? How many of you people don't even live there? And you're pouring into this town and terrorizing this man. Hey, children is apparently fair game. You're threatening his children. You're threatening his children. So I'm just going to make your little town and your kids famous. That's all. That's all. It is just like John Benet Ramsey. I'm just going to make them all famous. Well, that was a bad example. I don't think John Benet Ramsey survived her ordeal. Let's pick somebody else. It's like Leave It to Beaver. What could be more family than Leave It to Beaver? Well, what I was
get that one before you interrupt me there. We really didn't have a problem with him. I mean, he's been here since January, and it really hasn't been a problem. He did raise a little bit of a ruckus right there around February when he provoked one of the cops, and that was what started all this parade with him.
Yeah, the cops fucked that up. Okay, so that they have a good beef. All right.
But it is there was a lot of stuff that was left out. Was one is where he was at was at the known spot where there had been drug deals going. He was on private property and was suspicious at that point.
Well, you're going to have a lot of suspicious people at your school. I'm going to put suspicious people at your school, and they should be arrested for suspicion of public education.
Well, I mean, this goes back to what does this have anything to do with what I'm trying to get at here?
It has everything to do with what you're trying to get at. You keep throwing up these red herrings, and I'm telling you, this is what community looks like. You will get your education no matter how uncomfortable or expensive I have to make it.
But here's one of my questions I have. I know you're sitting behind a computer in Denver, Colorado. So
you don't know that, but okay.
So what has you so interested in a small ass town? He's sitting in his truck in a 20-acre farm in the RV. That's wasted. But
you lynched a blind man on live television. That's my interest. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
You're stuck in it already at that point. Your nose started stuck in it whenever the fuck cop sign come up. What was that, last Sunday? I mean, you know, I understand that there's your little minions, your little puppets per se.
Oh, yeah, right. I wish. Yeah, don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Well, I mean, apparently you believe everything in there because you're looking at House of Florida that none of us even know who the fuck that was.
But you distract from the truth of the matter. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about why Madison, North Carolina, and the surrounding area is deserving of my attention. Why don't you tell me a little bit about Mary Cross?
We've never even heard of her.
Oh, well, Mary Cross was arrested and convicted for felony embezzlement as a CPA of the Greensboro News and Record, and it happens to be Andy Flincham's mother-in-law.
You're talking about Greensboro. I mean, you know.
Greensboro, come on, it's all the same thing, right? It's the same thing.
But that does not necessarily bring my town into the situation of what they've done in other places.
All right, tell me what you know about Harold Daniel at 715 Ledbetter Road, Myodian, North Carolina.
Oops. La, 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 la.
I mean, if you don't talk about it, at least pronounce it. It's Mayo Dan.
Well, we'll just call it Mayo for short because it's just as dumb as Mayo, Florida. I'd call it mayonnaise, but there's too many syllables in mayonnaise. I don't want to confuse y'all.
Yeah, Mayo Dam is a little history behind the reason why I got the name Mayo Dam is that was where the Mayo and the Dan River connect. So they named it Mayo Dam.
Well, I appreciate the history lesson. But tell me about a resident there by the name of Harold Daniel.
No, I don't even know about that one. I mean, you know.
Well, this is Bride in Marianne, right? You should know about that. Because he's been living off the laurels of embezzlement money from the Greensboro Record, the newspaper there, for years, right in your little town. You want to talk about how that ties to your local politics? I'm going to leave that for you to figure out on this episode, because that's coming up in a different episode. But the fact of the matter is that you guys got skeletons in your closet.
This guy he's talking to reminds me of Mr. Obvious from like Bob and Tom. Did you ever hear that? He sounds a lot like him.
He does. Now that you say that triggers. We might have to go get, an AI face for him. Because, that was one of the things that Eric was very well known for, right? His camera work was impeccable. right? You know, I mean, if you ever watched Derek live, I mean, he was always centered on the subject.
Johnny Bravo. Yeah, likes it.
Hold on just a second.
Johnny Bravo. Only thing he did not do was flip his phone in the air. Johnny Bravo.
So it was just funny that we came across that and we were talking about that subject, right? And I was talking to Chuck about, you know, videos and shit, and yeah. But that's one of how many were in that fucking series? I mean, it was fucking ridiculous. I mean, because that was one thing that fired Eric up. Holy fuck. And rightfully so. I mean, I was pissed and sending shit. I mean, this was the...
Then why hasn't your friend's murderer been brought to justice? Then why hasn't your friend's murderer been brought to justice?
Thank you, Jeff. Those were weeks of drama, and it was serious drama.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they had a hell of a fucking welcoming party to that fucking place, boy.
Ooh, bus disconnected.
Crazy.
I mean, you know, he got there, and within 2 days, the cops were fucking with him and threatened to break the window and crazy shit.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it.
Nah.
I mean, they were already having some kind of fucking parade or some shit, weren't they, or something?
Like they were cutting off roads. And
Or did that just they all just show up because
when they thought he was there?
word spread they were there?
Yeah, well, so
Shit was deep.
basically he came out there that first time with the fuck cop sign, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, because of the way he got treated from the Pokemon incident.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's just... You know, the one time I went out with Eric, right? All I wanted to do was just go hang out with him and see what he does, right?
Yeah.
Well, motherfuckers start looking at you weird, and you look at them and you explain to them that they're not to stand behind you. They can stand anywhere else, but I want to have that piece of wall behind me. And I'm only 2 feet away from it, and you're not going to stand there anymore. Right? We're going to have a problem here. Right? You realize I'm recording. I don't like people behind me. Please move. You know, if you have any human decency. You know.
Jesus. Fucking dead game right now.
You know, it was weird. It was weird.
Flags are moving up pretty fast.
You know, people say some weird shit just because he has a fuck the bad cop sign or fuck cops, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they act really weird. It's just like, I mean, it's. I think the mind tricks worked, man. I mean, there are truly trigger words that can be embedded.
So when are those videos from? Fort Collins was way later.
September. These are ones that he streamed live, right?
Yeah.
Right, and
I remember when he was in Fort Collins. That was later on.
That was
too early in his career.
Yeah. So that one was 2020. September is 27th of 2020.
Because I first met him in 19 or early 20.
Yeah, and that's like way the fuck down here, bro. I mean, I'm only in.
Garbage.
There's a lot of shit that went down with it. It's in.
My God,
What's
ten?
crazy is the selection, the videos that he has up on it. Oh my gosh. I mean, okay, it said about 550, bro, right? Okay, now we're of about 600, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, this is the problem, right? This is the problem, right? And we're only in 2019, homie.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And I was watching him for a while before I met him, so.
I mean, but
GG Bus.
I mean, I guess I'll quit being rude and show the guys what I'm actually looking. No.
I know. I was wondering if they were seeing any of this.
No, hell no. They ain't seeing none of this. They seeing my broken fucking Minecraft server. Because that one video was all fucked up. I don't want to I don't want to attract people because of, huh? Yeah, they can hear it. Right. It's just I'm not showing anything. You know, like total like asshole thing, right? Here, let's see here. Yep. Hey, you know, you want me to tell you something about that matrix? I actually wrote the program in Python that drops that shit. If you look really close, there's no fucked up characters. It's all standard American characters. Right, and if you notice, it fucking restarts. So, where is that one?
And Watchdog came later.
Yeah.
Watchdog was auto, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, really?
Yeah. That was auto.
Dang, how long have I been recording?
Like I said, we're in the 19s right now.
I guess that's been 5 or 6 years for YouTube. At least Bronson.
Yeah. It's 800. Right. I mean, it's just insane.
And I don't know how long Eric was doing this before James Freeman found him.
Right.
Because that's what really put him out there, I think.
Right.
If I remember right. Because at one point, I remember we both only had about 100 subscribers, and then and then he jumped up to like 10K, and then 20K, and I'm still, I don't even know where I was. I wasn't very far along. He got up to 30K, didn't he, before he lost that channel?
I don't know. All I know him is on the Eric Brent. He told me that He told me that
he had a channel that got up to 30K and he lost it.
Oh no shit, huh?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, he'd
Welcome, George.
He was still out. You know what I mean? Guarantee it. he'd be such a loud voice. He'd be pretty well known.
He's watching me too, though.
First time I seen him, I was like, I love this dude, man. He's just fucking awesome.
That was not the that was not what my first thoughts were.
Really? I thought he was fucking great, dude. I was like, this dude is cool.
GG.
I'm like, okay. Somebody's hurt you. You've lost your fucking mind, right? Because I didn't get some of his, I didn't get any of his tank videos, right? At the first of when YouTube started introducing it to me, because when I started looking for Denver shit, you know, I found the shit about Guzman, right?
Yeah.
And dude, that's some wild ass shit right there, dude. I mean,
yeah, that's one of my favorite videos. Him and Liberty and James Freeman on Guzman. That was the fucking bomb.
yeah, but that's my first introduction to this poor bastard, and it's like, oh my god, this, you know, I didn't know if something went fucking south with. I didn't know, and it was just like, holy fuck, look at these guys fucking like coyotes sniffing at this cop. God damn. You know, I mean, I'd be kind of fucking frustrated too if that was me, right? And then I went back and actually watched, you know, what he did to him before, and then what he did to, you know, and it's just like,
chills. I loved it. I thought that was the greatest fucking thing I ever witnessed in my life.
Holy fuck.
I was so empowered by that, you know what I mean?
Man, it was fucking wild. Right? And then I go over, you know, because it was, what turned me on more to him was as I'd watch him do Janet's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Right? And that was where he was more mellow, right? But he was not afraid to bark at motherfuckers, right?
Oh yeah.
And you know, then I found out that they threw fucking boiling water on his feet. I'm like, Jesus Christ, bro. And then, you know, I hear a story about him getting hit and left in a ditch. You know, I mean, it's just like, yo, bro, how the fuck can you be compassionate at all? No, really. I mean, you know, I mean, the only thing they haven't done was fucking throw gas on you and light you on fire yet, bro.
Yeah, and some personal shit that he went through before fucking all this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, it was some serious shit.
Like serious shit, dude.
Yeah, like you know, he sure knew how to pick them females, let me tell you.
Right?
That bitch was trying to be femme fatale, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, all that with his ex-con wife, etc.
Uh-huh.
A lot of crazy shit, man.
Confessions of a no shoes, no court. Look at these. I mean, terms and policy violations. I mean, that's 48 minutes of. I can't turn it on even if I wanted to, right? I mean, and a couple of these, they got pretty.
I can't see it, whatever it is. So I need to turn my phone the other way. Well, you're not sharing that screen or something. Just stop sharing. I don't know what screen you're sharing, but I don't see it. Unless you're showing it to them, and now that took it away from me. Now I see it.
All right. I pulled it.
I see his page.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was talking about these ones.
Huh.
Right,
These
and
gotta
I.
be really good.
Yeah, I. You know, we might put the visibility and sort it one day if I could. But see, it don't even let you sort by that.
Terms and policy. I've never even seen no shit like that, right? Ain't no reason to request a review.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the idea of, you know, it's like, one's in 2019, July, August, and August. Literally, two of them were exactly a year apart, bro. Well, look at that shit. August 2020, August 2019.
Wonder if that was his sport? I bet it was.
Yeah. You know what's
I remember those.
You know what's interesting about it?
Yeah, GG, man.
I doubt it would play if it says. I don't know.
There's a way that I can.
I got a link. I wonder if you can still download it. There
See?
you go.
Oh, you're definitely a boost.
Make it big.
GG, bud.
Dude, did you see the visibility on that fucking thing?
Now you're preventing my egress.
Oh, yeah.
You're blocking my path to my vehicle.
Oh my God. So.
You've menaced me. You've threatened me.
And dude, when we first started streaming, the quality sucked so bad. It's gotten so much
GG,
better.
stole it.
I mean, just the
You've
720p
chased
has
me.
gotten so much better.
You've called the cops on me. Is there any more injury you'd like to do to me?
Eric's going off on him. I'm gonna kill it, boys. You guys jump over to FICs.
Yeah, these guys. Something about threatening to kick
Hey,
his
good
ass.
job tonight to D News. Good job for you too.
Is that defend?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who wants to continue watching this, who's not already over there.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we might have to go back and pull.
I'm gonna kill it. Almost 3 hours.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'm not doing shit my way. So you can go kick rocks. I'ma stack bricks up, do I want to. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave. 6 feet deep, wonder if my body won't decay. Cause my messages are timeless, so I put them on display. Okay, I rap with certainty. I have a sense of urgency, a message for eternity. For everyone, I'm eternally. I had some people burning me, but now they fucking learn to see. I ain't the way fuck with. Now they looking nervously, and I don't really care what you think of me respectfully. You can kick rocks if you think you're fucking better. See, I will outwork you, turn you to an enemy. Or need so bad that you're gonna need some anything. I got the motherfucking recipe. I've been cooking up hits. I'ma leave a legacy. You'll be looking small when you're standing right next to me. I'm 5'10", bitch, but I'm 10 feet. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yeah, I'ma do it my way. Coming out with a statement. You really changed, man. All your music and arrangement. You don't know shit. Shut your mouth. You can save it. I'm the same life to master it. Don't give up on your future, we all start losers. We're all late bloomers, gotta struggle through the sewer. What you say, yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say, yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want